pleasant good afternoon, football fans. Welcome to Raider Stadium in Hudson, Wisconsin, as we are set to kick off. Can you believe it? We are set to kick off the high school football season here in Wisconsin 2018. Welcome to our broadcast here on MSBN alongside John Wecken. My name is Joe Moore, and hey, John, welcome back. Thanks for having me back.
Well, thank you for coming back. This is year number 8 of doing Hudson Raider football on HudsonBroadcasting.com and also the River Channel. An early start this year, a warm start with the same opponent that the Raiders opened up with in 2017, Kenosha Indian Trail. It's a newer school. It's the biggest enrollment school in the state, so they definitely are taking on the proverbial big boys here. It's about a 6-hour trip. We did it last year. It was their turn this year. And a very early start. We're 24 days from the start of school, actually, in Hudson. A very unique situation in that we are going to have 4 football games in before school actually starts because we have a late start with the new construction. And so we're going to do 2 non-conference games and then start the Big Rivers Conference schedule on Friday of Labor Day weekend. But I've been waiting for this for all summer, and now it's finally here.
10 months later, here we are once again. And, John, you mentioned this was the same matchup that kicked off the 2017 season. You mentioned a Hudson victory last year, 28-10. Some familiar faces coming back for both of these squads. Let's look at Hudson. I mean, you know, that's the team we follow, and I guess the biggest name coming back, or who we think maybe is going to provide the biggest boost to this Hudson team this year, is the quarterback. And last year, he ran for a touchdown. Yep. He caught a touchdown. Kaiser Helterbrand, obviously, is who I'm talking about.
Right, senior Kaiser Helterbrand, and he's been very highly regarded ever since he made the varsity squad as a sophomore. And if you recall last year, the original plan was going in was a quarterback rotation between Kaiser Helterbrand and Max Stubendick, and they went with that and then decided, probably about week 3, if I remember, that Kaiser Helterbrand was going to be the starting quarterback. Max Stubendick shifted to split end, and they had a marvelous connection, a senior campaign. Max Stubendick in that last game against Stevens Point, I think, at 10 or 11 catches, and Kaiser Helterbrand really came into his own, and the quarterback position now is his and his alone right from the get-go here. He has excellent size, speed. I think they're going to run some quarterback option plays. He can really move. He can really throw the ball. And he's a senior. This is his time to shine. This is his team. Really looking forward to great things from Kaiser Helterbrand here in 2018.
Hawks fans could probably echo that sentiment almost word for word, John, as Indian Trail brings back Alex Jarvis as their quarterback. He was not necessarily quarterback option number 1 last year. Especially in Game 1, he was a wide receiver against Hudson, led the team with 67 yards receiving, but as the season progressed, he did become their number 1 quarterback. He led the team in passing. He was second in the team in rushing, led the team in rushing touchdowns with 8. So I think the sentiment from an Indian Trail perspective, much the same as we feel here in Hudson regarding the quarterback play. Both of them captains, seniors, and looking to lead a very strong squad, is especially Indian Trail. John, last year kind of a down year for them, just 3-6 overall, and I'm sure they are looking to bounce back.
They are. They play with the big schools down there, and they knock heads with the schools out of Milwaukee and Racine and Janesville, and you know the bigger power schools enrollment-wise are down in that southeastern section, and I think it's really ambitious, and hats off to Coach Adam Cowles for taking on the bigger schools, because if you want to win championships and have deep playoff runs, that's who you're going to run into. Speaking about their quarterback, these athletic young men, they've been waiting for it. This is their senior year. The ball preferably and literally is in their hands, and I think they're going to do a lot of different rollouts and options and quarterback sneaks, and just they're going to win or lose with their stars. And Game 1, you always you walk before you run. You run a limited playbook. You keep the players hydrated, and it's kind of a work in progress for both of these teams.
Flipping to the other side of the ball defensively, John, Hudson lost a really good player, not just all-conference, not just all-region, but an all-state defensive end in Cole Goodbow. big shoes to fill. How can Hudson do that this year?
Well, it is, and Cole Goodboe had a tremendous senior season, and now he's furthering his football career at the University of Wyoming, Division I, and we wish Cole all the best out there. Hopefully he's going to follow the team this year, and best of luck to him out there in Wyoming. I think one of the keys on defense is Cade Mcdonald, and he's very big. He was a sophomore last year, and he's listed at 6'6", 225, a junior this year, and he's going to be one of the keys anchoring that defensive line. And you see some of the familiar names from last year too, but I think they're expecting big things out of him, and just excellent linebacker play. Defensive secondary is key, as it's always been, particularly against some of these passing teams. And there's definitely talent there. I think there's 21 or 22 seniors on this Hudson team. They had a phenomenal year last year. Really ended the year. Let's see, they would have been finished 7-3, and or excuse me, 8-3. They finished the regular season 7-2. 7-2. So they ended up, lost a heartbreaking game to Stevens Point in round number 1, and really looking to build on that this year and run even deeper. First and foremost is you got Kenosha Indian Trail today.
Picking up on the Hudson defense, a couple other contributors, and they are captains. We'll run down the captains here for you for Hudson, but representing the defense in that captain's core, Jacob Dalton coming back. You mentioned secondary play going to be huge for Hudson, as well as Cody Sika gets a captain's nod this year from his linebacker spot. He was kind of a wrecking ball last year, just flying off from sideline to sideline, really. So a couple of guys there for Hudson to take or keep an eye on here as the game progresses and as the season progresses. For Indian Trail, John, they return their leading tackler from last year, Connor Fonrick, and he is also a captain for the Hawks. He led the team last year as a sophomore. So a junior captain is kind of impressive.
Well, I mean, anytime a sophomore can get significant playing time and play a significant role at a school of this size, they're clearly an athlete. That's much more the exception than the rule, and Hudson's had a few through the years as well. Kaiser Hildebrandt's one of them. And so, there's definitely some athletes out there on both sides of the field, and it's just getting into playing shape, and a couple other ones on the defense. Max Reynolds played linebacker last year. We certainly remember him, and just kind of refamiliarizing myself with some of these. But yeah, you circled Ben Jansen, 6'9", 278, and we were talking about him, and he's going to the University of North Dakota on a full ride.
Yeah, bypassing Madison. Madison is in the rearview mirror, unfortunately, as a Minnesota guy.
Sure.
Minneapolis in the rearview mirror as he continues west to North Dakota, and our best wishes to him, not necessarily today, but certainly in the future.
Starting next week, yeah. Well, and, to Kenosha, it's a long trip. Hudson did it last year, and so not only are you having an early start on the road against a good team, you have that long trip and then the long trip home. So that's a challenge. Hudson did it last year. It's Kenosha's turn this year. But I think also the key for both of these teams, just like in the NFL, you want to avoid injuries to anybody, but particularly your key people. You're probably going to see some rotations in or out, a lot of liquid on the sidelines as this is a hot, humid day. What do you expect? It's only the 17th of August. I thought it was going to be worse, quite frankly, temperature-wise. And we caught a little bit of a break with some clouds here, but it's still very warm, very humid. And so, I don't know if we're going to see anybody play every minute out there on this first week.
Right, yeah. Game time temperature here, folks, only 82 degrees. It was forecast for 90, but that dew point, which started the day comfortable, is now well into the mid-60s and making things, bottles of water, myself, start to sweat a little bit.
Yes.
So I agree with you, John. Yeah, get out of this one injury-free, learn some lessons. Always helpful if you can learn those lessons over the course of a victory. And, that was one thing last year I thought Hudson did very well. They got off to the good start against this Hawks team, but it's always a learning process. It's always a growing process, and it all starts here in just a matter of minutes.
Well, another keys for week one, the penalties, and that it's a timing thing. You're going to have penalties here in week 1 that you will have significantly less in week 3 and 4, and then moving forward. And that's your false starts, your offsides, 12 men on the field, that type of thing. And that all comes with getting into game shape and feeling your rhythm and getting into that rhythm. And they haven't practiced that long. I mean, they've only they only started practice. They've had 2.5 weeks of practice in, and the only way to get better is just to get out there and do it. And these teams are, in a matter of minutes here, going at it.
Hudson and Kenosha Indian Trail set to kick off their seasons. John, in the Big Rivers Conference, we had a couple teams play last night, so the season already underway. August 16th. Both Eau Claire North and Menominee in action at home last night, and the Big Rivers overall comes out 1-1. As folks, we're going to step aside here as we get this afternoon's national anthem from the Hudson Marching Band. Well, we can talk about the football players and what an early summer, and welcome back to the football season. The same can be said for the marching band as they are in full uniform here in the middle of August, and hey, it's a lot of work for them as well.
Absolutely. I live across the street from Newton Field, and they've been practicing out there. They're out there sometimes till 8:30 at night, and so much work goes into so many things here, including the Hudson Benchwarmers, who are the support group that do things behind the scene for this football program here. We're going to talk more about that as we go, but I want to say a thank you to the Hudson Benchwarmers for supporting our broadcast this year, and we have other businesses as well, and I know at several locations around the area they're tuning in tonight, and I know at Big Guys Barbecue north of town there, I always love to go and hang out there. I know they're running the game out there, the Village Inn and in North Hudson, Willow River over in Burkhart, several places downtown as well. Pepperfest, I want to encourage everyone to get out to North Hudson this weekend and take in Pepperfest. That's always a great thing with the best Italian food, and they got rides and a nice big parade tomorrow, which will be recorded and broadcast by the River Channel. And just want to thank all of our sponsors: On Site Apparel, McDonald and McDonald Insurance, Hudson Ford, Ethos Performance. We're going to hear from all of their wonderful sponsors this year that allow us to bring this broadcast to you wherever you're tuning in. I keep wanting to say tonight, but it's not night because we have a 3-hour early start. But if you want to contact us here at the booth, it's very easy to do. Click on the Contact the Booth button on the lower part of your broadcast screen right below the video, and shoot us an email. You let us know who you are, where you're listening from, and who you're cheering for tonight. If you're listening in from Kenosha, thank you for tuning in. Wherever you are, 2018 is here. Week 1 is here. The wait is over, and we are ready for football.
The Hudson defense got introduced to the home crowd here in Hudson, and seems appropriate because they will see the field first. Hudson did win the toss. They have deferred their decision to the second half. Indian Trail said, yeah, we'll take that football. Hudson will kick it off from left to right. As you view the game, what little breeze we do have does blow left to right, but it really will not have any effect on what we see on the field here this afternoon.
You know, one other person that I want to talk about real briefly here, and this will be a name you'll be hearing more and more of, is Cade Danielson. Cade Danielson had a nice season as a sophomore, elected not to come out as a junior, and he's back this year as a senior. And so that's really a big addition, and I look for big things from Cade Danielson this year.
Hawks are set to receive the deep man on the far side, Clayton Bishop. He is just a sophomore. He'll go both ways, a cornerback and wide receiver. On the near side, Jalen Grant, senior running back wide receiver. And to do the honors to kick off the 2018 season, Ben Carls will get us underway. Ben Carls, the kicker from last year as well for the Raiders.
Of course, his brother, I believe it was Bond, correct? We had Ben and Bond.
Yes.
And Bond graduated, but Ben is still here, and I think I got him mixed up. But Carlos is a good kicker. We saw some good things out of him last year.
And the 2018 season is underway. This is Bishop, but he is in the end zone, and that is a touchback. It'll be 1st and 10 Hawks from their 20-yard line.
Going to adjust the scoreboard here. We are officially underway. Great to be back in the booth, and the temperature I'll admit, isn't as miserable as I thought it was going to be. It is still very warm, very humid, but we are with you. Glad to have you on board. Thank you again to all of our sponsors, and kind of had to put this together, get a lot of things done here in the last couple weeks, and I want to thank the sponsors for doing this, and it's all downhill from here.
Jarvis under center I formation behind him. The handoff and getting a spun to the ground that time was the tailback. Josiah Jackson, no gain on the play.
46, Torrin Phillips to the Raiders.
Torrin Phillips on the tackle for Hudson.
Yeah, there are some question marks from defense. As with any high school football team, you know, you lose seniors every year, but it's those juniors coming up, how they gel together as a unit. Defensive coordinator Neil Hatfield is one of the best at getting the most out of his defense.
This time out of the shotgun, Raiders show blitz. They come with a little slant over the middle, is caught at the 25, and then moving backwards from there. It's a gain of 5, sets up 3rd and 5. Bishop on the receiving end of Jarvis's first pass of the season.
And for either of these teams, the key in any football game at any level is converting these third downs. And they're right in the middle. They're 3rd and 5 going in. A couple good defensive plays there. Both of these offenses, I predict, will play it pretty close to the vest here, particularly in the first half, as they're trying to figure some things out offensively and hopefully get more into a rhythm in the second half.
Again, it's 3 receivers right, same formation on 3rd and 5. Stepping up, Jarvis avoids a tackle, and he'll run for a first down and a lot more. A missed tackle there. Jarvis to the Hudson 40 down the sideline, to the 20, to the 10, and that is a Hawks touchdown, a 75-yard run for Alex Jarvis.
Wow. We were talking about if they're going to be able to convert a 3rd and 5. They converted it all right, and they had a couple even shots at Jarvis in the backfield, and he just got out into the left flat, turned on the jets, and bang, he was gone.
Yeah, I didn't catch the number in the backfield. That, potential sack there to force a punt, but Jarvis strong enough at 5'11", 160 to break that one, and then sprinted downfield, beat the Hudson defense, and just a minute 24 into this game, Indian trail the 6-0 lead. On to try to tack on the extra point is Jake Laurent.
Not really how Hudson wanted to start the game here at home, but good reaction by Jarvis there as the pocket was kind of collapsing. He just took it upon himself, and once he got out in that left flat, there was nobody there, and he was off to the races.
Some confusion for the extra point team here from Indian Trail, but and now going to have to run for it is Molly. Backup quarterback toward the corner, and he is punished out of bounds, so the conversion is no good. And with 10:36 left to play in the opening quarter, it's Indian Trail 6, Hudson nothing.
Cody Sitcha with a big hit there among others. As they kind of beat him to the angle there on the right side. He came up about a yard short, maybe a yard and a half. And again, that's what we're going to see in week 1 here. We're going to see kind of maybe some confusion about who's players coming in and out from the sideline, who's supposed to be in and out, the false starts, the offsides, the timing things are all going to be a work in progress here. And there was some confusion there, much to Hudson's advantage, though. But boy, they're shell-shocked. I'm kind of looking out here on the crowd, a decent crowd considering it's such an early start, it's such an early date here at the brand new, I want to say brand new, it's not brand new anymore, the year number 2 of our wonderful football facility here on the campus of Hudson High School. And the school's still under construction here, and that's why we have the late start this season, only, or this school year, September 10th.
Ben Carl's the deep man for Hudson on this kickoff. He'll have David Miller to his left, Cole Danielson to his right. John, I haven't been out here since the end of the football season last year. I don't even recognize the high school at this point.
Well,
it is not the building I left behind last year.
No, it's not, and a lot of work has gone into this. They started back in May. School got out early, and they've tried to give them the best, the longest window to get this work done. And it's still a work in progress, but it's going to be wonderful when it's all done.
Laurent, a line drive kick, and that'll sail over the head and go into the Hudson end zone. Ben Carl's thought about it, but he'll take the touchback, and Hudson will start 1st and 10 from the 20.
Well, now we get to see the Hudson offense, and they definitely had their moments last year, and we got some key guys coming back, and the guy that we're talking about, we're going to continue to talk about, it all starts to me with senior quarterback Kaiser Helterbrand, 6'1", 215-pound senior. He can really move, he's got a good arm, good vision, and they're going to start out of the shotgun right out of the gate here.
David Miller stands to his right. They'll run the option. The pitch comes back. It's Cole Danielson. Danielson, an ice hole, busts a tackle out over the 30 and then slides down at the 38. They'll give him the 39-yard line, a 19-yard run for Cole Danielson. Welcome back, young man.
Well, that's what I was talking about. He had a tremendous hockey season, and schedule-wise, he just couldn't do it last year as a junior, but he's rare and ready to go here as a senior. Great run by Cole.
Hilterbrand looking to pass, going to scramble away, and then the throws at the feet of Danielson, coming back to try to help out his quarterback. Incomplete, sets up 2nd and 10.
One of the things we've seen with Coach Adam Cowles through the years is his tendency to go to a hurry-up offense. They're not a huddle up and to the line. They like to get into a fast-paced rhythm to kind of keep the defense off, and when they get going, they run it very, very well.
This time 3 receivers left, 1 right. Miller the lone setback in motion. Danielson, they give it off to Miller. Miller hit the line of scrimmage, drives forward as he's taken down by Taylor Benefiel, a gain of 3 on the play.
Now Hudson finds themselves in a 3rd and long here, and we all know what Kenosha did on 3rd and 5 on their opening possession. See if Hudson can match that. They're bunching 3 receivers on the left-hand side. They've been exclusively out of a shotgun thus far.
Swung out, and the pass is caught, but a nice tackle by Bishop takes Charlie Pierce down after a gain of about 1, and that brings up 4th and 5 for the Raiders and the punt team coming on.
I think number 14, Charlie Pierce, 6'1", 175-pound senior, is going to be one of the primary targets this year for Kaiser Helterbrand. He had a good junior season, and had a couple key catches late in that playoff loss to Stevens Point last year, so I'm expecting some good things from Pierce.
Ben Carls to kick it away for Hudson. High wobbly kick, kind of short. Bishop ran up and then backs away. Nice Hudson bounce, comes to the near side and will be touched down at the 25-yard line. That's a 33-yard punt, no return. 6-0 Indian Trail.
Joe, you referenced an early start yesterday for a couple of Big Rivers Conference teams, and kind of opposite results. Eau Claire North went down big against La Crosse Central. That game was at Eau Claire, at Carson Park, and I think Eau Claire North traditionally has struggled. They're probably going to struggle again this year. We'll have to see. Well, we got a penalty here.
I didn't catch it,
it,
but it's a personal foul call, so 15-yarder moves Indian Trail up to start this drive at their 40-yard line.
They got a nice roll off that punt, too, and that completely negated it.
Handoff looking for a seam and kind of darting through one. Diving ahead is Jalen Grant. A gain of about 4 on the play.
There's Jalen Grant, just a little guy, 5'7", 145, senior for Kenosha Indian Trail. I remember when I was 145, but that's a lifetime ago plus a few.
You got a good memory.
Tack about 30 on that. That's where I'm at now. Nice run, though.
It'll be 2nd and 6 for the Hawks, second possession. Jarvis will work out of the shotgun. Running backs on both shoulders. The handoff goes to Jackson. Jackson off the right side across the 45 to the 46 for a gain of 2. Up off the bottom of the pile that time, Torrin Phillips.
And as we mentioned here, I'm looking out there for Cade Mcdonald. He's on the left end there. I believe that's him.
Yep.
6'6", 225, and we're going to talk to Cade's dad, Brandon, from McDonald Insurance at halftime.
I formation, 3rd and 4, 2 receivers right, handoff Jackson coming left, and he's got close to a first down. Boy, he kind of stopped, and that allowed the Hudson defense to push him backwards. Jacob Dalton, the tackle. Just shy of the first down, 4th and a half yard, John.
Yeah, you know, and with Hudson through the years, usually when they're within 2 or less, and sometimes even more, it's just an automatic, and there's no indication that Kenosha Indian Trail sitting on a 6-0 lead already at just shy of the 50-yard line. They're without doubt they're going for it.
They'll send 2 receivers wide right, I formation. Cotton ahead of Jackson. The handoff goes to Jackson, and he has got the first down as he weaves his way into Hudson territory. A gain of 2. Will move the chains.
Nothing fancy, just good physical smash mouth football there by the Indian Trail Hawks. Good execution up front from the offensive line, and they got it, plus a couple more. We do have our first injury of the game. Well, as they tend to the injured player here, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors here. Of course, moving forward, we are going to have the webcast and the TV production simultaneously. And before I go any further, I want to see out on the field there. And this has been a Hudson Raider tradition, in the 8 years we've done this. If you can pan back, when an opponent is down and injured, or if a Raider is injured, everybody on the Hudson squad goes down on one knee, and it's a matter of sportsmanship and respect and hope that the injury isn't serious, which appears it is not. I've always admired the coaching staff of Hudson for putting that policy in place. They've done it all the years we've been doing this. Not every team does, most teams don't, but Hudson always does, and I've always liked that.
Josiah Jackson, the injured Hawk player, but seems to be gaining strength as he heads toward the sideline. Kind of checking that left knee. He'll be 1st and 10.
Again, as Kenosha Indian Trail comes back up to the line of scrimmage, I want to say hello to the folks tuning in at Big Guys Barbecue, also the Village Inn, the Willow River, Seasons Tavern, and wherever you are, thank you for tuning in this afternoon.
This is Grant trying the left side, and Grant run down after a gain of 1. Jonah Beck in there defensively for Hudson.
Kenosha's driving into Hudson territory here on their second offensive possession of the game. They went to the house on 3rd and 5 in their opening offensive possession, and that's why they're sitting on an early 6-0 lead here. 6 minutes to go here in the first quarter.
Three receivers right out of the shotgun is Jarvis. And he'll look right, under pressure, throws, and that nearly intercepted, juggled, and incomplete, intended for Bishop, defended by Dalton.
Yeah, Jacob Dalton's another name. Number 9, we're going to be seeing and hearing a lot of. One of the captains, 6'1", 190-pound senior, had a good junior season and really going to come into his own as one of the leaders of this Raider defense here in 2018.
So obvious passing situation here for Indian Trail, and boy, so far early in this one, the pass rush from Hudson has been tremendous.
It has, and I think, Coach Hatfield has always had a tendency to really stress an aggressive pass rush, and sometimes he rolls the dice and rushes a linebacker and maybe even a safety here. It looks like they're going to come hard this play. Here they go.
Going in motion was Wendling. The ball ends up on the turf. Indian Trail able to pounce back on it, but they'll lose 7 yards in the process. 4th and 17, and the punt unit coming on.
Well, the defense definitely responded much better this second possession after Kenosha converted that 4th and short and drove into Hudson territory. They had a couple nice solid plays there and stopped them. They're going to force a punt. Hudson's going to get their second offensive possession of the game.
Jake Laurent, who handles the kicking duties, will also punt this one away for the Hawks. Ben Carl's back deep to receive for Hudson. No pressure being shown. Very little delivered. And a squibbling kick to the right sideline goes out of bounds. We'll see where they mark it, right at the 35-yard line. 20-yard punt, no return. 4:48 to play in the opening quarter. It's 6-0 Indian Trail.
Want to say hello to Mark Paulson, emailing in. He says, thanks for your broadcast. And Mark, we're glad to accept the compliments, and thank you for writing in. And it's very easy to do. Click on the Contact the Booth link below the video screen on HudsonBroadcast.com. You can let us know who you are, where you're listening from, who you're cheering for this afternoon. And thank you, one and all, for tuning in.
Hilterbrand to throw, going deep down the middle, and it is caught at the 30 and taken down. Matt McDevitt on the receiving end. 38-yard connection.
And that's what Kaiser Hilterbrand is capable of doing. He had time in the pocket. You see his arm strength. You see his accuracy. You see his poise. And Matt McDevitt is one of these juniors that we're going to have to see come into his own as one of the targets for Hilterbrand.
Option pitch comes to Danielson running laterally. He was kind of stood up there defensively by Devin Rose, and then the cavalry comes to help out, and Danielson picks up 2 on the play, 2nd and 8 coming.
And Danielson is going to be definitely one of the featured backs out of that backfield for the Raiders to complement the passing attack. Looks like number 70, Blake Gilbert, is coming off. He's a 6', 285-pound junior offensive lineman. He's trying to walk off maybe I don't know if it's an ankle sprain or a shin. Looks like he's doing okay. We are going to probably see some cramping here in this week 1. It's important to stay hydrated, and again, keep in mind this is only week 1.
2nd and 8, Hilterbrand under pressure, and down he goes. Back at the 28-yard line, blitzing in. That junior captain we talked about, Connor Fonrick, the tackle.
Yeah, they were going to pressure him right from the get-go there, and Hilterbrand's good on the rollout and even on the option, but they had an aggressive rusher, and they had that all bottled up right from the get-go, and now we're 3rd and long.
Loss of 3 sets up 3rd and 11. Ball at the Indian Trail 28-yard line, and a timeout taken by Hudson with 3:06 left to play in the opening quarter. It's Indian Trail 6 and Hudson nothing.
We take this opportunity to thank our sponsors here for 2018. This is our kickoff game here, and it's because of the local sponsors here in the Hudson community, and all our sponsors this year are from Hudson, that we are able to bring you these broadcasts. Hudson Hudson Ford, we want to thank Seasons Tavern, the Willow River Inn, Big Guys Barbecue, the Village Inn, McDonald Insurance, Wisconsin Credit Union, among many others. Ethos Performers, we're going to hear from Dan and Nate throughout the season with Ethos Performance. Also want to thank Mattress Galaxy for coming on board with us. Definitely got a nice business community here in Hudson, and our wonderful community. If you're listening in from Kenosha and you're ever over here on the western side of the state, stop on by. You'll be impressed with what you see here in Hudson, Wisconsin.
Out of the timeout again, 30-11 Raiders. Ball at the Hawk 28-yard line. Danielson goes into the backfield. Straight drop for Helterbrand. Throws deep down the left side, and Bishop all over the receiver. And Ben Carls wanted a flag, but doesn't get it. It'll bring up 4th down.
It was heavy coverage, but the pass just wasn't quite there anyway. But Indian Trail, very good defensive coverage on that one. Now the question is, and we talked about Coach Adam Cowles rolling the dice on 4th down. We're 4th and 11. You know what? He's going to go for it. And really, you're out of field goal range. You don't really want to punt inside the 30. I guess you go.
Danielson in motion again, straight drop. They set up the middle screen. It's Charlie Pierce. Pierce at the 25. And he'll get dragged down right there. Devin Rose the tackle, and Hudson will turn it over on downs. 1st and 10 for the Hawks from their 25-yard line.
Well, the Raiders did have a good drive, got inside the 30-yard line, but couldn't cash in. Good defensive stand there by the Hawks when their back was to the wall a little bit. Still sitting on that 6-0 lead, 2:35 to go here in the first quarter. We also want to thank the Hudson Boosters, and we're going to have Ken Stelzner, who runs the youth football program, on here at halftime, and we're going to talk with him a little bit along with Brandon McDonald from McDonald Insurance, and about their thoughts on the season and the youth football program. And boy, it's hard to believe that football's here. I mean, we got Pepperfest starting. In fact, Pepperfest is going to officially start here in about 40 minutes. That's always a lot of fun. We got the State Fair coming up. College football will be kicking off pretty soon. We got NFL shortly after that, the pennant races in baseball, and yet there's still a little bit of summer left, for that last little summer vacation, if you can fit it in. And, a lot of good things on the horizon, isn't it?
It's a fun time of year to be sure. Going to add some time to the clock. It says 2:16. We'll bump it up to 2:35 as the clock ran after that incomplete pass. Hudson turning it over on downs.
Again, like we say, we want to thank the bench warmers. Been to a couple meetings, and a lot of people doing a lot of things behind the scenes to make this program all it can be. And Ron Dalton, Adam Danielson, among many others, Russ Belland, and we're going to be hearing from them this season as well.
3 receivers right, throwing left, and behind the intended target was Jarvis. That was a tip. Does he let it go as well? It'll be 2nd and 10.
That's one of those quick hitters, and that's really a timing pattern. And 2 weeks from now, you'll see the completion percentage on passes like that go up significantly.
Jeremiah Suber, the intended receiver, in coverage was Rocco Hoopert, right?
Is it Hoopert or Huppert? Huppert. Well, we got to
Thank
confirm
you.
that.
Yeah. Thought I heard you just say it, and I still botched it.
Okay. Rocco. Now, if that isn't a football name, I don't know what is. That football and boxing. That's a good football name.
Straight keep. Jarvis is hit almost immediately and gets back to the line of scrimmage. Madsen on the tackle for Hudson.
Now Kenosha Indian Trail finds themselves 3rd and long, fairly deep in their own territory. If Hudson can get a stop here, they can force a punt and potentially get pretty good field position. It'll be their 3rd offensive possession of the game. Also want to thank Athletic Director Steph DeVos, who's always been good to work with here in year number 8 of our broadcast. And Aaron Morum, he's around here somewhere, helping us out. Good to be back.
Again, 3 receivers right on 3rd and a long 9. Quickly tossed out. Wendling gets it ahead to about the 29. That's a gain of 3. We'll call it 4th and 6 for the Hawks, and the punt unit gathers on the far sideline.
They would have been hard-pressed to get 10 yards out of that play. Excellent defensive convergence there by the defensive backs and the linebackers from Hudson. That play only got a few yards there, and they're going to have to punt her away.
Six nothing Indian Trail, and really, John, they've only had the one offensive play to speak of, and it was a broken play at that, but resulted in the 75-yard touchdown run by Alex Jarvis.
And from a defensive standpoint, those are the things you want to avoid, are those big back-breaking plays, and we've already had one.
Again, a kick off to the far sideline, and this one will be marked in Hawk territory.
Looks like about the 48, Joe? No.
46-yard line.
46, okay. So Hudson's going to start in Hawk territory. Not a very good punt, and they were fairly deep back in their own territory anyway. And let's see if Hudson can strike Pater. They had a good drive going there inside the 30, got to the 28, and then they stalled out there on a 4th and 11. They were not able to convert. Back in that shotgun again.
Under a minute to play in the opening quarter. Handoff comes to Danielson. He's going to try to sweep it and slides down as he was going to cut it upfield. That results in a loss of 4 on the play.
They should have pretty good traction out there. We did have a little bit of rain yesterday, but not a whole heck of a lot. But it's been dry today. It is humid, but I think that playing surface should be pretty solid.
Second and 14. Helterbrand straight drop with time. Looking for somebody to come open now, just heaves it down the middle, and it is caught by McDevitt. McDevitt turns at the 20, tries to cut back to the outside, and reaches ahead to the 16-yard line, a 34-yard connection.
Well, for the second catch of the game for Matt McDevitt, he just was able to somehow, some way get open as Kaiser Helterbrand just kind of scrambled right, left, and sideways and finally found an opening, got it to him. Pretty good start for McDevitt.
2 catches, 72 yards.
Yeah, that'll work.
We'll take that for another 8 games after this one.
Oh, yeah. Pretty good per catch average.
Helterbrand straight keep. And he's inside the 10 to the 9-yard line. A gain of 7 as the first quarter comes to a close. And your score through the first 12 minutes of this one: Kenosha Indian Trail 6, Hudson nothing.
Of course, next week we're going to go over to Stevens Point for a rematch against the Stevens Point. Is it Panthers?
I think so. Yeah, let's go with that.
I want to say Pointers, but that's actually the college. It's like the Panthers. And
yeah, I think you're right. I believe it is the Panthers.
And so that's you don't have a lot of marquee matchups per se in non-conference games in August traditionally, but boy, that definitely is one, considering that's the team that's knocked Hudson out of the playoffs the last 2 years and also beat Hudson on their first game ever here at the new field. And a rematch against them next week is something we're going to anticipate, and we'll have that one on. That'll be a full broadcast with web and TV. We are unable to bring you the TV portion today because of the construction at the school, and a situation happened that the internet is not available to us, so we had to scale back some things for this broadcast. It's one of the pitfalls of trying to get a school construction project done, and so we had to go to Plan B here, but we got it done, and it's just so good to be back up here and excited about this season of Hudson football.
No doubt about it. As we begin the second quarter, Hudson, 2nd and 3 from the Hawk 9. Miller moves from right to left. In motion, Lutkins. He'll take the pitch. Lutkins has the clear shot down the sideline. He is in. Touchdown, Raiders.
That being Hunter Lutkins, and that's a ball player we didn't see a lot of last year. I did see a little action, if I remember. 5'10", 160. He is a senior. Excellent blocking that time. He was just wide open on the left-hand side. Coming off that quarterback's option sneak by Helterbrand, got him inside the 10 and sealed the deal. We got ourselves a tie ball game.
Ben Carls will try to tack on the extra point, and his kick is up and good. On the opening play of quarter number 2, Hudson has a struck pay dirt. They lead it 7-6, and boy, John, you know, we'll look at it next week and go, oh yeah, that Hunter Lutkins kid had a 9-yard touchdown run, but Kaiser Hilterbrand, that was not a good snap. He had to pick that one up off the ground and quickly get it out of his hands as the defense was collapsing.
And we can't get him on camera, but the Hudson bleachers, the Bleacher Creatures, a Hudson Raider tradition, is out there. 6 young men, 6 flags, and that will be something that you will see all season long, particularly on the home games. And after each Hudson touchdown, they race down the track, turn around and go back again. And you'll see them on our Twitter feed. Speaking of that, follow us on Twitter on HudsonBroadcast.com. It's on the right-hand side. Be glad to have you on board. We're going to do some special promotional things with our Twitter account this year. You can follow all the news of not only the Hudson Raiders, but other broadcasting endeavors we're going to be doing here in the coming weeks and months. So follow us on the Hudson Broadcast Twitter. Glad to have you.
Ben Carl set to kick it away for Hudson. Grant to the far side, Bishop to the near side. Stand at the goal line for Indian Trail. Nice high kick, end over end, and they collide. The ball is loose. Hudson got there first, and they have it. At the 22-yard line, a lack of communication that time between Bishop and Grant results in the game's first turnover.
Well, we were looking for that first break of the game, and that was it. A key turnover deep inside their own territory on a kickoff, and now it's up to the Hudson Raiders, who just punched their first touchdown into the season just moments ago. Will now have an opportunity to add to it. Not inside the red zone yet, but very, very close.
Alonzo Madsen, the defensive lineman, getting downfield first, John. You got to love that.
Yeah, well, he was moving.
He comes up with the recovery. Second time that Kenosha Indian Trails put it on the ground here. Now the handoff, Miller weaves his way inside the 20, taken down at the 17, a gain of 5 for Miller.
That being David Miller, 5'10", 170-pound senior. We saw him get a little bit of action last year, and I believe he's the younger brother of former quarterback Luke Miller, quarterback the Raiders a few years ago.
Hilterbrand keeps, now pitches. This is Danielson. Danielson, a little stutter step. He's inside the 10. Drake down from behind at the 5. First and goal, Raiders, a gain of 12 for Danielson.
And seeing the traditional things out of this Hudson Raider offense that we've seen in the years we've covered it, you know, quarterback options, pitch plays, good play by the offensive line, opening up the running lanes, and really kicking it into another gear when you get inside the red zone.
Danielson in motion, takes the handoff, looking for some room, spins off a tackler, gets inside and gets into the end zone. What a run, Cole Danielson from 5 yards out. And Hudson has scored 2 touchdowns just 46 seconds apart.
Well, mistakes will get you every time, and Indian Trail made a big mistake fumbling that kickoff deep in their own territory, and the Raider offense made them pay the price, and we're up 13-6 with the extra point pending.
Carls to attempt the extra point for the Raiders.
Carl's kick, it looked like just a little chip shot there, but it splits the uprights. It is good. 11:09 to play, quarter number 2. It is now Hudson 14 and Kenosha Indian Trail 6.
There's the Bleacher Creatures again. They know more than sat down, and they're back again.
They're getting their steps.
They are. Yeah, they always fun to follow them. We follow them on Twitter. They had a nice little video that you can see on the Hudson Broadcasting Twitter feed off to the right-hand side on HudsonBroadcast.com. Looking to hear from you. Again, you can email us here at the booth. Very easy to do. Click on the Contact the Booth link. Right below the video screen, you can let us know who you are, where you're listening from, who you're cheering for today. I'm refraining from saying tonight, because for high school football, we're just so used to these 7 o'clock starts. That's the traditional start, and an early start. And I've been asked all week, well, how come it's starting so early? We did the same thing last year. It's a long drive from Kenosha. I mean, you're talking two opposite ends of the state here. It's about 6 hours, if I remember right. If I can, if memory serves, I got home last year about 2:30, 2:45, if I remember right.
I asked the Kenosha coaches prior to the game, I said, when did you guys leave? And they said, we left yesterday.
Yesterday,
That's
okay.
how long a drive it is. They stopped and spent the night in Eau Claire, but still.
Aha.
From the 5, this is Bishop and Bishop. Out over the 25 and taken down by Jake Sasembo at the 29-yard line. 24-yard return, 1st and 10, Hawks from their 29.
Jake Sasembo is another one of these key cogs in the defensive machine and also on special teams as well. Not real big, but he's fast and athletic and a big hitter, only 5'9", 155, but he's going to be one of the anchors on that defensive secondary, just like he was last year as a junior.
Back in the game is Josiah Jackson. He's to the left of Jarvis. He takes the handoff and works his way up the middle across the 30 to about the 31. Short gain on the play, give him 2. It'll be 2nd and 8.
Well, you can just see the momentum turn. You know, Indian Trail, after that big-time scamper that put them up early 6-0 off that 3rd and 5, it's really been all Hudson. The defense has stepped up. The offense has got going. They had that big turnover deep in their own territory. Hudson capitalized on that, and Hudson by no means has this game under control, but as far as momentum, it's all on the side of the Raiders right now.
And for the fans back in Kenosha, the fans of the Hawks, you know, considering it is literally all across the state, they've traveled well.
Yeah.
The cheerleading squad here is well for them. 2nd and 8, Jarvis slings it out, has his man. Boy, he squeezed it in there for Jeremiah Suber.
Number 3, Jeremiah Suber, tackled by number 8, Rocco Hubert. Hubert on the tackle.
There's Rocco again. Love that name.
Brings up 3rd down.
Gain of 4 on the play, sets up 3rd and 4 now for the Hawks.
I like the play call by the Hawks that time. They just got to get back into an offensive rhythm here, and you know those quick hitters or even just a basic running play. If you can get a little breathing room here and put yourself into a more makeable 3rd down, 3rd and 4. And conversely, if the Hudson Raider defense can shut this down, again, they're looking at potentially some pretty good field position.
3 receivers come to the near side on 3rd and 4. Grant in motion, takes the handoff. Grant hit as he gets to the line of scrimmage, driven backwards. Maybe a yard, maybe nothing, and now whistles here at the end. Hudson pointing like they have the ball, John.
Yeah, and I didn't see it, but I don't know if the ball did get coughed up, but if it's caused by the ground, that's not a fumble. There you can see them right there, big number 96 being Cade Mcdonald, and we talked about who's going to try to have to step up and fill the void of Cole Goodbow, and I think that falls on the big 6'6", 225 shoulders of Cade Mcdonald to replace Cole and really anchor that defensive line. I look for him to have great development this year.
The punt unit is on. Laurent, line drive kick down the middle. He just squirted a 2 off to the right. Then he goes left that time and again out of bounds, but solid kick. Hudson will start in their territory with 8:28 left to play in the first half, leading 14-6.
And I've been asked where you can get Raider gear, and there's a wonderful new place, and they come on board as a sponsor, On-Site Apparel. It's right off of Locust Street, and Lori just has a wonderful, wonderful selection of Raider apparel. We were down there doing some filming the other day, whether it's T-shirts, hats, coats, all sorts of merchandise, and it's on-site apparel right off Locust Street. Want to thank them for coming on board as a sponsor here, and go down and check it out. They have a tremendous Raider gear, home of the Raider Clothing Company. That's on-site apparel.
2 receivers each side. It's Danielson on the reception. Danielson gets stood up. He's taken down at the 33-yard line. Gain of 6 on the play. First reception of the season for Cole Danielson. He has also rushed 5 times, once for a touchdown.
We're also going to talk about this offensive line of Hudson. They are very, very solid.
Handoff for Miller. And Miller taken down very nicely. Fonrick, textbook type tackle there for a gain of maybe 2 on the play.
Of course, we want to thank behind the scenes John Reed on camera. He was with us one time last year, did the Kenosha game last year, and glad to have him back on board. There it is. Oh, they reset now. The flag was late. Okay.
It's first game for the referees, too.
I was just thinking that. I don't know if he got stuck in his pocket or what, but they clearly were offsides.
Good ball. Offsides defense. 5-yard penalty results. First down.
So the 5-yard mark-off gives Hudson the freebie first down as it stepped out to their 40-yard line. 1st and 10 Raiders from there. 7:24 to play in the quarter. Deep down the middle. And a diving attempt goes through the hands that time of McDevitt.
And you can just see several times here in the first half of game 1 that Kaiser Helterbrand is a special quarterback, and he's going to have a great, if he can stay healthy, he has got a tremendous arm. He is as good as advertised. You can just see it.
2nd and 10, the option. Pitch goes to Miller, and Miller bangs ahead and is knocked out of bounds. We'll see where they mark it. 3 or 4 yard gain on the play. 3rd and 7 following the 3-yard gain.
Andrews Johnson on the tackle for the Hawks.
Both of these teams kind of rotating players in and out as we suspect they would, and probably going to have to go to the air on this one.
Rolling right, Helterbrand dumps it over the middle, has his man Carls, turns back upfield. He's got the first down, trying to outrun Bishop. And Carl's taken down at the 32-yard line, a gain of 25 yards.
And Ben Carls and Clayton Bishop were kind of stiff-arming each other there, and I think Carl's got the best of Clayton Bishop. Both good-sized kids. Bishop's a little bit young. He's only a sophomore, 6'1", 162, but Carls is checking in at 5'10", 180. He's got some speed, and he got some extra yards out of that one.
Helterbrand straight, keep very patient, and finds a hole up the middle, runs through a couple tackles, and backs his way all the way down to the 15-yard line. Gain of 16 on the play, and we've got an injured Hudson player again. It's Blake Gilbert. He went out earlier, and he's down again.
Yeah, he's down again. I don't know if that's an ankle injury or a lower leg injury, but getting back to that play, that is something that Hudson ran time and again successfully, that quarterback option, quarterback sneak, delayed draw, whatever you want to call it. And when you have Helterbrand, the size and athleticism that he has, it's just like a running back coming at you. And very well executed. As Hudson is down on all knees again.
Yeah, and Gilbert comes limping off. They had taped up that right ankle, but he again is favoring the right leg as he comes off the field.
I want to thank our people tuning in, watching, and also sponsoring. The Willow River Inn in Burkhardt was out there a couple times this week. Tremendous pizza. $2 breakfast on Saturday or Sunday. Went out there with Ken Conan. It would be late last year, talking some hockey, and I just couldn't believe what you get for $2 in breakfast. I mean, it's just tremendous, and it's a great venue out there, and pizza, live music. The Willow River Inn, just outside of town in Burkhardt. Check it out.
So 1st and 10 Raiders ball at the Hawk 15-yard line. 6:40 and counting to play in the second quarter. Handoff goes to Danielson. Danielson is inside the 10 and eventually dragged down. We'll see where they mark it. Boy, he stayed in bounds a long time on top of that pile.
Tackled by Cade Bishop for the Hawks.
And Hudson very methodically grinding away, already up 14-6, and they are in an offensive rhythm. And that hurry-up offense, it's happening. 5-yard line.
Gain of 9 on the play. 2nd and a short. Helterbrand straight keep right up the middle. Helterbrand dives, and he's in. Touchdown, Raiders.
Yes, we are seeing the early stages of what I think is going to be a tremendous season for Kaiser Helterbrand as he seals the deal, and Hudson is an extra point away from going up 15, excuse me.
So Carls will try to tack on the extra point. Easton Belland is the holder. Jacob Dalton, the long snapper on these kicks. Dan Carls is 3 for 3, and suddenly with 6:25 left to play in the first half, it is Hudson 21 and Indian Trail 6, as you see it right there on your screen.
We have the graphic on and also the video scoreboard as well, and there's the bleacher creatures. Oh, I do have to change the scoreboard there. It's the second quarter, not the first.
Once again, a quick reminder, the bench warmers.
It's amazing how the quarter changed, John. I mean, this is two completely different Hudson offenses we've seen from first to second quarter.
Well, they've got multiple weapons. You can see. I mean, it's they got several good backs coming out of the field. Receivers are getting separation. It all starts with Kaiser Helterbrand. It also starts with this offensive line. If you don't have a good offensive line, you can't run the ball and you don't have pass protection. And this offensive line, talking to a couple coaches earlier, they're very, very confident that this offensive line is really solid. Of course, we're out here with the Pigskin Picnic back on August 7th and had a nice turnout, was out for that. And again, that's part of the many things that the Hudson bench warmers do. And concessions and spaghetti dinners, chipping in on additional equipment. Without the bench warmers, this we couldn't have this program. They do so many things. So if you're a parent of a player or if you're just interested in the program, check out hudsonfootball.org and check out becoming involved in the Hudson bench warmers as the football falls off the tee. And there is no wind, so it wasn't blown off.
No. And Dan Zulli is in to kick this one off for Hudson, so a change-up here for Hudson on the kickoff. Zulli replacing Ben Carls, or getting an audition, I guess, in favor of Ben Carls.
And I remember Zulli had a tremendous game at River Falls late in the year last year.
Bishop from the 10 comes up the numbers out across the 30 and is taken down by Asembo at the 33-yard line.
Tackled by Jason Sembo.
Just earlier today was over at Hudson Ford, one of our great sponsors over there, right off of Crestview Drive. Saw those nice new Mustangs, among many other things. I cannot afford one, but they are nice.
You just saw it? You didn't test drive it?
I did. I thought about it. I've owned 2 Mustangs, but they weren't near as nice as the one on the lot of Hudson Ford, I assure you, but they were a lot of fun. But a lot of nice stuff there. I want to thank Hudson Ford for coming on board and sponsoring our broadcast. Wisconsin Credit Union, want to thank them as well, one of the community partners with a lot of financial products over there, Wisconsin Credit Union. And another thing we have coming to town, and maybe some of you have read about it, heard about it, and it's in the works, is the St. Croix Riverhounds, the Northwoods League baseball franchise that is set to begin play in 2019 at the site of the old dog track. They got a lot of work to do out there, but it's hopefully going to get done. We'll have minor league baseball here in the spring of 2019.
3 receivers left. Bishop comes back in motion near side. Jarvis pulls it down, looking for some room. He'll sprint to the outside, and he'll be chased out just shy of the 40-yard line. A gain of 5, maybe 6 there for Jarvis.
Alex Jarvis on the carry for the Hawks. That's on the
Yeah, they've shut Jarvis down pretty good, and I think the defense was maybe reminded to shut down the not open the big holes. We had the big scamper on 3rd and 5. I'm sure defensive coordinator Neil Hatfield and the others down there wanted to ensure that was a one-and-done deal.
Again, it's 3 receivers to the near side. 2nd and 5, and again Bishop in motion. Quickly out to the near side, Suber, and he is
there it is.
Beautifully tackled by Jakes Asembo. Perhaps a short loss on that play. We'll call it no gain.
Jakes Asembo, he brings an energy and an athleticism to this defensive secondary. We saw it last year. He can hit. He's not very big, 5'9", 155, but well, he laid the hit on that time.
You know, with all this talk in the NFL about the new penalty, lowering the head, leading with the helmet, all that good stuff, take the film of that one and show it to the NFL. That's how you tackle, folks. That was beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
3rd and 5 for the Hawks. Quick slant, caught. 1st down. And Bishop reaches out to the Hudson 47-yard line. 12-yard connection will move the chains for Kenosha.
A nice catch in traffic by Clayton Bishop for the Kenosha Indian Trail. He's only a sophomore. And one of the few positive offensive plays they've had since that touchdown scamper. The Hudson defense has really ratcheted up a notch and shut them down. They are now in Raider territory.
That was the longest completion of the afternoon thus far for Jarvis. He's 5 for 7, but that 12-yard connection the longest. This is Jackson, runs through a tackle in the backfield, tries the left side, and he is gang tackled after a yard gain.
Host of Raiders in on that. Also looking for Max Reynolds out there somewhere. Of course, I got to know his dad, Bob Reynolds. And Bob Reynolds, his father was and I think still is the all-time leading tackler in the history of junior college football.
Wow.
He played back in I want to say the mid-'80s. And so he's from a lineage of, from his father, of a very good linebacker play.
They fake to Jackson, rolling near side. Jarvis is going to run. Jarvis got to the line of scrimmage, and he is swallowed up and dropped. Credit the tackle that time to Easton Belland. No gain, brings up 3rd and 9.
Yeah, Belland on the tackle. And got to know his dad, Russ Belland, a little bit. One of the bench warmers. And again, we're going to be talking with Ken Stelzner at halftime, and also Brandon McDonald. Ken from the Hudson Boosters. We're talking a little youth football as they get their program up and running, going pretty soon here. And then Brandon McDonald, father of Cade Mcdonald from McDonald Insurance Agency, and getting his perspective on seeing his son. Brandon played for the Hudson Raiders some 25 years ago. Glad to talk to him and get him on.
Grant comes in motion. They fake the handoff and in all sorts of trouble.
That went nowhere.
A sack. Alonzo Madsen will get credit for it. Loss of 3. It'll be 4th and 11. 4th and 12.
You know, Hudson went for it on 4th and 11, but they were inside their 30-yard line, and Indian Trail is on their own 49. I think they're going to punt it, but I'm not sure. Going off awful slow, I know that.
And the punt unit will now trot onto the field. 2:35 clock ticking down.
Also, too, if you're looking for a good meal, and Hudson Pepper Fest, in addition to all the great Italian food, Seasons Tavern right across the street. Just had fish there today. Tremendous as always.
Pressure came. They ran into the kicker. Laurent looking for a flag, doesn't get it. As that punt fielded on a hop, kind of a dangerous play there from Ben Carls, but he gets it across the 20.
They were looking for a roughing the kicker call, but I don't know if they was. Apparently that, if he incidental contact or what, I'm not sure.
Carls, I believe, stepped out of bounds there, John, before he came back and fielded that punt.
Which you cannot do. Yeah, there it is. Yep.
Referee on the other end was looking directly at the punter. He watched the whole thing and just shook his head no to the roughing the running into the kicker penalty.
He's not called the smartest man in sports broadcasting for nothing. Joe Moore was all over that call.
That'll. I've never been called that. Thank you.
Until now. No, but that's exactly what happened.
I will say I'm probably top 5 in the booth right now.
Excellent. And there's 3 of us. Well, I'm 6th.
Yeah.
I'm 6th out of 5.
2:07 left to play in the quarter. 1st and 10 Raiders from their 11. The pitch goes to Danielson. He finds the corner, 15, bounces it outside to the 20, up the sideline, tiptoes, and ends up running out of bounds. They'll mark it at the Hudson 25 for a gain of 14.
I love how Cole Danielson runs, how he squares his shoulders, and how he has great field vision. And another senior, he sat out last year. This is his opportunity. I'm so glad he came out. Was talking to his dad, Adam, part of the bench warmers, and when I heard that Cole was going to go out this year, they said, "Oh, that's a big plus for this Raider football team."
Rolling near side, Hildebrand look out, kind of hit as he throws, and pass intended for Danielson ends up a little short. It'll be 2nd and 10, 1:55 to play. Hudson, John, with 2 timeouts.
Well, if you use the timeouts and work the sideline here, you have time. And of course, in high school football, with the advance of a first down, the clock does stop. That's something NFL doesn't have. Division I college does. And so this is more properly managed. This is enough time to put one more drive together before the close of the first half.
Hildebrand thought about it. Now arcs it ahead, and it is incomplete. Intended for Carl's. Good defense that time from Bishop. Just angled to Carl's out of bounds.
Brings up 3rd down and 10.
And even though Adam Cowles likes to roll the dice, I highly doubt if he doesn't convert the 3rd and 10 here that he would go for it on 4th and 10, sitting on a 21-6 lead inside 2 minutes of the first half here. Really, Hildebrand just trying to lollipop it over the defense here. Is flushed out of the pocket on the right-hand side and was not accurate with the throw.
Rolling right, Hildebrand directing traffic around out of room. Oh boy, throws it into the middle of the field, and that is incomplete. What a dangerous throw intended for Pierce. Closer there to it was a.
Those are across the body passes that you don't want to do, particularly on 3rd and 10 deep in your own territory. I'm sure he will be reminded of that on the sidelines.
James Van Dunn there defensively for Indian Trail. Well, Hudson just 1 for 4 now on 3rd downs. And they are forced to take a timeout. A little confusion with the punt unit.
Got our 2 halftime guests on here. Ken Stelzer from the Hudson Boosters, Brandon McDonald from McDonald Insurance. We're going to talk to them both at halftime here. And I see they're dressed in Hudson gear. Good to see. If you're looking for Hudson gear, one of the places to get is On-Site Apparel right off Locust Street, the official place of Hudson clothing. All your spirit wear, shirts, hats, Raider underwear I think she's got down there. Got it all. It's all good stuff. I was down there a couple of days ago. It's tremendous. For your Raider gear, check them out. On-Site Apparel. They even got a Hudson Raider thing that goes in your hitch, where the receiver hitch goes in. Maybe I'll get that. And
very nice.
It'll be 2 weeks before my wife realizes I got it.
High snap. Lutkins gets the punt away. Not a very good one. That'll spin and go out of bounds at about the Hudson 36 or 37 yard line. Minute 36 and 3 timeouts here for Indian Trail.
Yeah, not really what you'd want. I mean, even though they couldn't put a drive together, it's too bad they couldn't have maybe ran some more clock off. And and got a better punt off him and set him back here. But sitting on a 21-6 lead, you got all the momentum. You don't want to have Indian Trail punch one in here in the last minute and a half plus change and cut into that lead and get some momentum going into halftime. The Raider defense is going to have to come up big here.
Hand off to Grant. He cuts it back up to the 30 and taken down after a gain of 8.
Jalen Grant on the carry for the Hawks. Gain of about 9.5. That's just going to be short of a first down. Second and less than 1 for the Hawks.
Jacob Dalton on the tackle for Hudson. Otherwise, that would have been more than just the 8 yards.
Yeah, it would have. Yeah, Dalton coming over and putting the stop to that. Jalen Grant, again, we talked about him earlier. Not real big, only 5'7", 145. He can motor, though.
They give it to him again. This time he is swallowed up very close to the first down and driven back by Madsen. And they will give him the first down as they spot the ball at the 25, gain of 3.
Torrin Phillips was in on that tackle as well. 6'3", 190-pound outside linebacker. Torrin's a junior.
Clock continues to run. We're down to 45 seconds to play. Again, Hawks with all 3 timeouts. 1st and 10 from the Raider 25. Quick pass over the middle. It's Grant again. Avoids a couple tackles and then is finally taken down at the 16. He'll be just shy of another first down, and now the clock will stop with the Hawks' first time out of the half.
Well, they're going to utilize this last 28.7 seconds up or down 21-6 here, and that was the break when you decided to go to the air deep in your own territory. It's great if you can convert the first downs, but you're not burning a lot of clock, and you left them with a fair amount of time and a complement of timeouts, and they're utilizing it here, trying to cut into that deficit, 21-6. We can't check other scores because we're the early game.
Yeah.
Most of the other games aren't going to kick off till 7 o'clock, so we can't go to the Big Rivers Conference scoreboard there. But Menominee and Eau Claire North opened last night. Menominee with the big win, North with the big loss. That result should surprise no one. That's usually what happens. With Eau Claire North going down, getting beat at home, La Crosse Central from the Mississippi Valley. And Menominee, a bit of a non-traditional opening non-conference game for them. They were at home against at Williams Stadium against Lake Mills. Lake Mills is a little bit smaller school. And Coach Joe Labuda has said that he has a very young team this year, inexperienced. But as a lot of these coaches do, they like to downplay what they have and build up their opponent. It's a mental game. Joe isn't in the Hall of Fame for no reason. But I think, even if Menominee is down a little bit in talent, they'll still be very tough.
Jarvis rolling right, throws, has his man. It's bobbled and no, incomplete. Unable to come up with that one cleanly. Fred Ferrati, the intended receiver. So it'll be 3rd and a short. Clock stops with 23 seconds.
This Hudson defense can hold. They're definitely in field goal range, and you always have to wonder, particularly early in the season. In college and the NFL, it would be an automatic, but some programs have a good kicker, others do not. And we'll have to see if it comes to that. 3rd and short here. And of course, the clock, if they convert the first down, the clock will stop temporarily with the movement of chains and the conversion of the first down.
Of course, the Hawks do have 2 timeouts remaining. Hudson does have 1. I formation. Jarvis turns, hands it off. Grant bounces it to the outside. He's got a first down. He's inside the 10 and knocked out of bounds at about the 6 or 7 yard line. Cody Sika, the touchdown saving tackle.
And he did get out of bounds there. I mean, the clock was going to stop anyway, but now we're down 16.8 seconds. Time is definitely of the essence. Joe, you mentioned they do have the two timeouts remaining. But the Hudson defense, this is the time to put up the stone wall with their backs to the wall. For Kenosha, it'd be huge if we punch this one in going into half.
Boy, this has been the Jalen and Grant drive. He's touched it on nearly every play here for the Hawks. He'll get it again, going to the outside, but a beautiful tackle knifing in that time by Jonah Becken takes him down for a yard loss.
Jonah Becken, 6'3", 225-pound senior outside linebacker. Nice shift over and brought into that. Now they are going to have to burn a timeout as well. And again, we got our halftime guests coming up here. Glad to talk to them and for coming on out. And you know what? We have a bigger crowd here than I thought we were going to have for a 4 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
On so early. Checking out our new stadium. And this young lady just spun in the air twice. Look at that. If I tried to do that, I'd break in half. And she did it effortlessly. No, I don't think the band and the cheerleaders really get near enough accolades for the atmosphere they create, the work that they do, the entertainment that they do, and it's just been tremendous to see them. There, look at her go. Look at that. And she gets a well-deserved round of applause.
Don't sell yourself short, John. I think she practices just a little bit more than you do. I'd be jumping like that if the Packers can go into the playoffs. I'll do a few backflips. Second and goal from the 9, 12 seconds left on the clock. Jarvis, play action, throws. It is caught, and immediately making the tackle and taking the player out of bounds is Carter Riley.
Stephanie DeVos to the track, please. Stephanie DeVos to the track.
The tight end, Andy Ramos with the connection, the catch. Another sophomore. A lot of sophomores playing for the Hawks here this afternoon.
And keep in mind, Kenosha Indian Trail enrollment-wise is the biggest school in the state. They have an enrollment, I want to say, of 2,200, something like that. They're a big school, one of 3 schools in the city of Kenosha.
6.3 seconds left. Timeout, Hudson, their third and a final, and obviously with only 6 seconds left. Kenosha does have the timeout. They do have that run-pass option, but I got to think you got to throw it into the end zone here.
Well, yeah, and then, you're in chip shot distance, but again, it comes back to how much confidence do you have on your kicker. I mean, they're inside, what are they, on the 5? It's a chip shot field goal, but they want 6. When you're down by 15 on the road against a good team, these opportunities are few and far between, and you definitely want to maximize them. And just as Hudson did off that Indian Trail turnover, coming off that kickoff, and bang bang, just like that, it was 14-6. And the game has really, the momentum's really been on all Hudson up until then. But the Hawks had that key stop, got good field position, and now they're knocking on the door. They punch us in. It's a whole new ball game going into half.
Tell you not to be outdone, John. The Hawk cheerleaders also bouncing around down here and doing flips like nobody's business.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's part of the atmosphere of high school football. It's wonderful, even an early game like this.
Jarvis rolling left, looking to keep. He runs, he dives, he's in. Touchdown, Hawks.
With 2 seconds on the clock. Gutsy play, and he did it. Jarvis, nice quarterback option run by Jarvis.
Second touchdown of the afternoon for Alex Jarvis. Makes it 21-12.
Now, you would think they would go for, in fact, they are.
That looks like actually the kicker
No, they're
warrant
not.
is on the field.
Well, no.
I agree with you. I would think trailing by 9, you go for the 2 here.
Now they're gonna. Not sure what's going on.
They're gonna call their third timeout. They don't know what's going on either, so call the timeout and figure it out. Right?
I don't know why you wouldn't go for 2, but anyway, I want to say hello to the guys watching out at Big Guys Barbecue. Check it out there, just outside of town. The barbecue ribs and barbecue specialists out there. Nice big weed. Hudson had their banquet out there last year. It's a wonderful place, and so many great things, and big roomy dining room, and got volleyball out there. Jethro and the guys out there put Put a good show on. Check them out. Big Guys Barbecue. And if you're heading to Pepperfest is officially open as of 9 minutes ago. And the summer is not complete in Hudson, Wisconsin without a stuffed pepper at Pepperfest to put the cap on a long, hot summer.
So Laurent does come back out. Indian Trail going to just settle for an extra point attempt here. The holder is the backup quarterback. Argent is Molly.
Watch for the fake.
Better snap as Molly gets it down, and Laurent knocks it through.
Lawrence kick is up and it's good.
21-13, Hudson with just 2 ticks of the clock left here in the opening half.
Well, a key gutsy drive late in the first half by Kenosha Indian Trail has got them to within 1 score, albeit 8. And they made the most of it. Good clock management.
Yeah, for sure.
And made the key plays when they needed to make them. The Hudson defense has really shut them down prior to that drive outside of the 3rd and 5 scamper. But yeah, the Hawks got some talent. They were down last year. They were 3-6, but they've had decent seasons. I see you were jotting down the years past. You have Kenosha Indian Trail, Kenosha Bradford, and Kenosha Tremper down there. All big schools and a long ways away.
Yeah. Yeah, the interesting thing, looking back at the Hawks season last year, John, they really did not play a close game. Every one of their games last year was decided by 10 points or more. 5 of them decided by 30 points or more. So, hey, new season, new group.
We did Eden Prairie one year, a few years ago, and the average margin of victory was 28.
Ooh, average.
It made for some long games, I assure you.
Especially for the opponents.
Of course, Minnesota football does not kick off for another 2 weeks yet over in high school. And
Wimps.
Labor Day weekend, of course, Division I college will kick off as well.
Little squib comes bouncing free. Picked up by Lutkins, and Lutkins taken down at the 30. That'll do it for half number 1. So the 2018 season has kicked off. Your halftime score here in Hudson. It's the Raiders 21, the Hawks of Kenosha Indian Trail 13. John Wecken will take you through halftime.
We're going to grab Brandon McDonald on, and we're going to have Ken Stelzer come on after Brandon. Brandon McDonald, Ken Stelzer's batting cleanup. First and foremost, I want to thank you, McDonald Insurance Agency, 40-plus years in the Hudson area, an independent insurance agency, and it's because of sponsorship by businesses like yourself we're able to do these broadcasts. And thank you first and foremost, thank you for sponsoring and coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And we sponsor not just football, but we sponsor all the different Hudson athletic teams that come to us and ask for some help, and that's part of our core values is to make sure that kids have something outside of school to do that's positive, and we enjoy it.
We're going to shut the window here as they got the music blasting about as loud as you could possibly play it, but Hudson Radiator is playing out there, and of course this is very special for you for a couple reasons. Number one, you're a former Raider. And you didn't play on this field, but you played at Newton Field some 25 years ago in the early 90s. You're class of 94. I'm sure that seems like a long time ago, playing for Hall of Fame coach Jerry Ukatil.
Yep.
And now here we are 25 years later, and your son, Cade, is out there. How special is that as a parent to see your son wearing those Raider colors?
It's a lot of fun. It's fun to come out and watch him and his buddies play, and brings back a lot of memories. A lot of the good memories that I had from high school revolved around athletics, and it's I wish we got to play in a stadium like this. This is something else. Newton Field was pretty cool back in the day, but this is state of the art here. So it's a pretty cool experience for us, and Cade loves to be out here, and we hope for a great season here. And
just to give a window, a peek. We talked a week before last about what an athlete goes through in the off season in terms of training and putting themselves in a position. And Cade put on weight, went to camps, did weightlifting. Just give us a little rundown on what he was able to do in the off season.
It was a busy summer. It's different than back when I was in high school. There's a lot more opportunity for the kids, and that's fantastic. Outside of Raider Elite, which he did all summer, also trained with the line of scrimmage program that was done over in Woodbury with about 5 of the Hudson kids. Former NFL player running that camp. He did that 3-4 times a week, and he also did speed training, working out with wide receivers, working on his quickness and that kind of stuff as well. So these guys, the athletes these days, they're picking out 2 to 3 times a day where they're working out. And nutrition is so much more of a focus than it was 25 years ago, and it's fun to watch, and they love it. If anything, we kind of trying to reel him in a little bit, make sure he doesn't, do a little too much that way, but he enjoys it. So.
And back to McDonald Insurance, and in this day and age where so many things come and go, McDonald Insurance Agency has really been a staple for 40-plus years. And really a member of the community. So what you got going over there at McDonald Insurance?
Yeah, well, we're an independent agency. We represent over 20 companies with direct appointments, and what that allows us to do is provide not only great coverage but great pricing as well. We're still consider ourselves a small town agency. We believe service is key. People can buy policies online. You can buy from the phone or the internet, but the reality is that people still need us to be that advisor, to take on that role and watch after people. You can come in to this day, pay bills, make changes, give us a call. We don't have a phone tree. When you call our office, you get somebody live. All of our agents and all of our staff is completely licensed, and so we're actually licensed now in 8 states as well. We've expanded so we can write those seasonal homes in Arizona, obviously Minnesota and Wisconsin, and whatnot. So we believe in it. We're still a small town. We're still a growing town. It's a great community, and to service these people, we have to provide that service, that level of service.
Well, thank you for coming in. Are you enjoying the nice hot weather here on the 17th of August and this early start?
Tell you what, it's hot up in this box, that's for sure. It's hot in the stands, but great crowd tonight, and hopefully we can keep the momentum going here in the second half.
Well, very good. Brandon McDonald, former Hudson Raider, father of Cade Mcdonald, owner of McDonald Insurance Agency, one of our sponsors. Glad to have him on board. We're going to bring on Ken Stelzner now. Thank you, Brandon, for coming in. And Ken is the coordinator of the Hudson Booster football program. And we see these teenagers out there, and some of these guys are big guys, and have been playing football a long time. It had to start somewhere.
It did.
And for a lot of these athletes, it started with the Hudson Booster Youth Program.
It sure did. In fact, Cade played for the Hudson Boosters. It's a great feeder program. We've worked with Coach Cowles on fundamentals, on the things that he'd like to see, the basics for each position, that we can teach these kids that if they can get down, he says they'll be unstoppable.
And really the Hudson Boosters are so key and such an integral part of our community. And tell us a little bit about the Hudson Boosters as an organization as a whole.
So the Hudson Boosters serves the community and actually in surrounding communities. We do baseball, softball for the girls, t-ball, and football. And it's open to all the youth. I know that the softball program is pulling in from surrounding communities as they grow their program. We've hosted several national tournaments this year in the baseball side of the house. And the football program has been very successful for 3rd through 6th graders. Besides those things, we also are active in the community. We host the Booster Days, 4th of July celebration every year. We do an Easter egg hunt at Easter time, and are general supporters of the community.
Now, the youth football program, it's only the 17th of August. And it seems like summer isn't quite over yet, and it really isn't. But here we are in our first high school football game. Youth football is starting very soon, and you got a lot of great things going there for your youth program.
We sure do. We had practice this week for the 3rd through 6th graders, but registration is still open. There's still time to come out and be a part of it. So if you haven't registered yet, come on down and register. And we will go another week of evaluations and training, and then we'll make teams and we'll get into the games.
And these teams actually play games. It isn't just a scrimmage. This isn't flag football. This isn't just kind of an exposure to football. You actually put on competitive games.
We absolutely do. We have referees. We play with the same base rules as the Hudson High School team, with some modifications for the younger crowd, and to make it a little simpler, a little safer sometimes for them. but it's a lot of fun, and it's real football. Looks like football, tastes like football, smells like football.
You know, and with the success that this Hudson Raider team has had in recent years, you know, the back-to-back conference championships in 12 and 13, had a tremendous year last year. The year before, you know, we were 6-1 in conference last year, 5-2 the year before, really poised to have a great season this year. But it all starts from the feeder programs, the youth. And so what type of football mentality do you instill in these young kids to get them in the mindset and put them in a position where they can go on to the varsity program and succeed?
You know, one of the we work on fundamentals a lot, especially at the 3rd and 4th grade level. We try to teach them the things that they need to do to be successful players and people. It's not just about winning. At the 3rd and 4th grade level, we don't even turn the scoreboard on for these guys. We let them learn the game of football where everybody gets a chance to play and have fun. We've worked with Coach Cowles to find some fundamental concepts that he'd like put forth, and we work on those. And then at the bigger level for the other kids, good sportsmanship, reminding them that we're all Raiders. It's not us and them. We're all together in this at the end of the day, and it's about good sportsmanship. And I think that's really important for the kids to learn at any age. We see so much poor sportsmanship today. It's good to really teach that to these kids that they need to do that. And I've got such a good core group of coaches. Year after year, day after day, they come in, they spend hours and hours and hours to make sure that these kids have got high-quality practices, good games, and it's really a lot of fun.
And for young men, because football, at least primarily, is a young man sport. We've had a few girls that have played through the years. I did a couple games over in Minnesota. We had some female kickers, actually. But to build the character of young men, playing football has so many elements that really build a character for a young person.
It does. They learn to work. It's not easy. It's hot. It's hot for them. Even though we practice in the evenings, they learn to work. The coaches push them. They do conditioning. They have to learn the plays. They have to execute on those plays, and they're held to accountability to be there, to be on time, to be part of that team, and to carry their weight.
And it's also a lot of fun too. When you go out, whether it's football or baseball, whatever programs the boosters run, you learn a lot of things, but it's also a lot of fun, isn't it?
There's nothing like seeing 200 kids out there playing a sport that you love. It's absolutely fun. It's some of the best football. I tell these kids, nowhere will they play more. There's 15 kids on a team, 11 of them are on the field, and they are going to play. They are going to touch that ball and have fun.
To learn more about the boosters, or to sign up for booster football, or just to learn about all the great things that the boosters go on, how do you find out more information about the boosters?
Out on our website, hudsonboosters.org.
HudsonBoosters.org. Ken Stelzner, thank you for all of the time that you put in. There's a lot of volunteer hours go into this, running these youth programs and doing everything that the boosters do. Check it out. Go on to the website. Youth football is starting. There's still time to sign up. It's a whole lot of fun. Get your kid involved. And Ken, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, John.
All right, we'll bring Joe Moore back in here. 21-13, the Hudson Raiders up on Kenosha Indian Trail Hawks. Week number 1 here. And I keep wanting to call this stadium something. Welcome to blank stadium. We had Newton Field and and DeRay Field and Carson Park and NBC Spartan Field up in Superior. But we don't have a name yet that I'm aware of for our new stadium, so we'll have to see if they actually give us a name here. But regardless of what it's called, it's a tremendous facility, and we opened it up last year, and here we are back again.
I always thought it was just Raider Stadium, but I could be wrong.
And maybe it is. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do maybe a naming rights thing or whatever, but a lot of things had to come into play to get this done. And this is just one piece of a multi-piece building project. And you can see off to our left here, you know, still working hard to get the school done. And really a nice facility, and that's so key to any programs to have a great place to play.
I was just, talking to some of the fans out there, John, and asking about the not the stadium, but the new school a little bit. And, I made the comment, I said that the facilities here are going to be better than a lot of the small colleges in and around this area. So, this is certainly state-of-the-art stuff, something to be proud of for you guys and all the Hudson folks out there that passed the referendum to make this a reality.
Well, and speaking of the Hudson community here, the reason we're able to do these broadcasts and bring these games to you wherever you are, whether you're watching here locally or watching at Big Guys Barbecue or the Willow River Inn or Seasons Tavern or over at the Village Inn, or at home or abroad. The reason we're able to do this is because of the sponsorship and the commitment and the investment of our local businesses like Big Guys, Village Inn, Hudson Ford, Wisconsin Credit Union, Ethos Performance. You want to talk about a couple young guys that are just so committed to making athletes the best they can be. We're going to hear more about them, and Dan Teese and Nathan Bryan do such a tremendous program, and Nathan's a former Raider, and Dan's a Woodbury guy, and we're going to hear more about them, and just part of our great sponsorship base that allows us to come on and do this. So support our sponsors. We're going to hear more from them as the season goes on here, and it's really great to be back. And Joe, thank you again for coming on for year number 8 of Hudson, and we'll kind of take a look at what happened here in the first half.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me back. And, yeah, taking a look at that first half, obviously Hudson leading this one 21-13, and they got it done equally well on the ground and through the air. 212 total yards, 108 on the ground, 104 through the air. Couple of big strikes really leading to that 104 yards through the air for Hudson. 2 catches, 72 yards total for Matt McDevitt there in the first half. 3 different players score touchdowns for Hudson. John, I think that's huge because you mentioned it during the first half. There are a lot of weapons for the Raiders offensively this year, and they showed it there in the second quarter as they get touchdown runs from the quarterback, Helterbrand. They get one from the tailback, David Miller, and one of the wingbacks coming back into the fold, Cole Danielson.
Well, it is, and it's not a one-trick pony here by any means. We talked about Kaiser Helterbrand as well. We should, and he's definitely the key cog in this offensive machine. But a lot of different weapons, and not to be overlooked by any means is this offensive line. It all starts with good offensive line play, opening up running lanes, pass protection, and Hudson traditionally has always had these good offensive lines. They really focus on that, work hard on it, and a lot of young guys. You don't hear their names as much as the running backs, the receivers, the quarterback. Whatever, even the defensive guys, but they're in the trenches. They're making it happen. So that offensive line is really impressed me here, and they always have. Just kind of looking ahead here, beyond this, we're going to get the second half going here, and there's a minute 27 to go as Neil Diamond blasts out of the of the speakers here. I don't know if I've been to a sports venue where I don't hear this song, "Sweet Caroline," and
right.
And that's from 50 years ago, and it is a good song, but kind of interesting that a song that old still gets this much play. But anyway, going on the road next week, and we will have next week will be a full broadcast with the TV and the web. Where this week we had to scale it back because of some internet restrictions here at the new stadium because of the construction, where the internet was not available like we anticipated it would be. But we'll have the full broadcast on next week at Stevens Point, and I think that's going to be huge. For a Week 2 non-conference game, that's just with the history between these two teams, really the last 2 years. They played 3 times, and Stevens Point's won all 3. Well, Hudson's only lost. Last year, they only lost 3 games, and 2 of the 3 were to Stevens Point, and both here. And so now we go over there.
And by a total of 3 points.
Right. I mean, just, tremendous games. Even the playoff game over at Stevens Point wasn't as close the year before in 16. We ended up losing, but I'm really looking forward to going over there. I don't know how many they lost. I know their big running back that had such great games against us. I know he has graduated, but they're a big school with a good program. Looking forward to going over there next week.
Well, it'll be a good test just to see exactly where Hudson stacks up here early in the year. You mentioned Menominee, Labuda saying they're a younger squad this year. We'll see what exactly that may or may not mean when we meet them. Week 5 maybe or 6?
I believe it's week 6 here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right.
6.
But, a lot of football between now and then, and as the schedule kind of turned over, so the order of games is different this year.
It did.
Traditionally, you look at Hudson's schedule for this season, and based on the past, you'd look at it and go, well, it should be a give-me 2-0 start to the season, but you have to play the games. You never want to say that. I know that. But I think the game against Stevens Point will get Hudson, into more midseason form than, say, another opponent might.
It will, and I think it'll be a very good measuring stick of where even though it's early, only week 2, of what this team can do. And Stevens Point isn't in the conference, but they're in the section. And so if they're going to be strong, and Hudson's strong, their paths are going to cross sooner or later. And so to play them non-conference like we did last year, it'll be a good measuring stick. And I think it'll also gauge some statewide interest as well because of, the history and whatnot. But beyond that, yes. And then we're back home to play the Jug game because River Falls and Hudson has really had River Falls' number in recent years, but it's a rivalry game. I think River Falls' program is trying to get better. They've had some coaching changes and really a commitment to trying to get better over there. They have a nice facility there, too, and there's a big, long history between River Falls and Hudson that goes back, 70 years to their days in the Middle Border. And then after that, they go over to Carson Park and play an Eau Claire North team that, yes, has struggled, and Hudson has really had their number in the years we've done this. But then after that, I think a game that I wouldn't want to overlook is that game up in Superior.
Right.
And Superior just had a season last year. Hudson beat Superior 7-0 down here in one of the most physical high school football games I've seen in all the years of doing this. And then Superior just didn't win a lot of games last year. They had some injuries and some things happen, and they just had one of those years like Hudson had back in 2015 where they were a good team, but the record didn't show it.
Yep.
There was some talent there. So we go back up there on the road, and that's we lost up there a few years ago, and I think that's going to be tough. And then you come back to we go up to we go to Superior, and then we come back with that home game against Menominee. I believe that's homecoming. And so, it's a good schedule. We do travel north twice this year, once to Rice Lake, once to Superior, and of course we have the trip over to Carson Park, which we do every year. But the two Eau Claire schools will play Eau Claire Eau Claire North over there, and then the trip to Chippewa Falls. I think Chippewa Falls returns a fair amount of decent players from a decent team last year. They were not a playoff team, but they were roughly a 500 team. I think that's going to be a tough way to end the season. That's a long ways away, but going on the road, Hall of Fame coach Chuck Rakovic's been there 30-plus years, and I think that's going to be a tough way to end the season. But so far, so good. You got him sitting on an 8-point lead here, and the second half, it's still anybody's game.
Hudson will get the ball to start the second half. As John mentioned, they lead at 21-13. Very strong defensive half for Hudson. Really, just the one big play allowed, and that was a broken play. A play that should have really resulted in a sack and a forced punt. Ends up as a 75-yard touchdown run for the game's first score. But, boy, after that, Hudson defense really kind of buckled in, and John, I kind of thought the first couple series on both sides of the ball, it was just kind of that feeling out, hey, we're not seeing teammates across from us, we're actually getting to see an opponent finally. And it was kind of like, oh, okay, all these lessons that they've been trying to teach us the last 2.5 weeks, now I get it.
Yep, and you hit the nail right on the head. That's exactly what it is. You can practice and watch film and study the playbook and all that, but it's nothing like getting on the field with real-time action for both of these teams. That they've only been at it 2.5 weeks here, but I think a pretty good showing for the first half of the first game of both these teams. Just a couple mistakes, particularly the big turnover by Indian Trail, to me is the key moment of the first half.
Jake Lauren kicks it away, and he bangs this one through the end zone. It's a touchback, and Hudson will begin 1st and 10 from their 20.
We're going into the MSBN email bag here. We're going to reset the scoreboard here. We are now in the third quarter, second half. And I want to say hello to Paul Malik. He's watching the game up in Grand Marais tonight, and he says, thanks for the help with the program. Paul heads up the program, and even though Paul's boys are graduated and long gone out of the program, Paul continues to donate his time, volunteer his time, putting together this wonderful program that we have. So thank you to Paul Malik as part of the bench warmers that do so much for this program.
Delayed handoff went to David Miller. He's out to the 22 for a gain of 2.
Ball carried by David Miller.
Miller in the first half carried 5 times for 23 yards and a score. Leading rusher was Cole Danielson. He toted it 7 times for 57 yards. Here comes carry number 8, 25-30. He's got some room. Does he have the speed? Danielson to the 40, now cuts back at the 35, frees up some space, and is ankle tackled from behind by Connor Fonrick. A 50-yard carry for Cole Danielson puts him over the century mark on just 8 carries here.
And that's what we missed last year. I was so impressed with him as a sophomore, and again, we talked about this earlier. He elected to focus on hockey, but he's back for his senior year. Tremendous run, great blocking. Danielson's the real deal. He's going to have a great senior campaign also.
Lutkins in motion, handoff goes to Miller. Miller bangs off the pile, and Miller drives ahead to the 20, a gain of 8 for David Miller.
And David Miller's a nice compliment as well. Had a touchdown in the first half. Multiple weapons. We talked about it. They're going to adjust the clock here.
Miller offset to the right on 2nd and 2. Hilterbrand keeps. He'll keep. He's inside the 10. He's inside the 5. He is into the end zone with a Raider touchdown from 20 yards away. 2nd of the game for Hilterbrand.
And that is a play they are going to run over and over again. It's a pitch option. Getting out in the right flat, the blocker's in front. You have a pitch option to the back, either slightly behind you or right parallel to you. The defense has to commit either way. And Hilterbrand just took it to himself. He saw the opening. We're going to see a lot of that this year and run very well.
Carl's on to attempt the point after. High snap gets put down, and Carls bangs it through. It takes just a minute and 20 seconds. The Raiders traverse 80 yards in only 4 plays. And your new score reads Hudson 28, Indian Trail 13.
And the bleacher creatures are back again. The Hudson tradition, there you can see them at the bottom of your screen with those great flags going on our track back and forth. 6 of them. That is fun. And the Raiders, wow, talk about an impressive opening drive. That's tremendous.
So 10:40 left to play in the third quarter here. And, John, you mentioned we can't scoreboard watch here tonight.
No.
Everything else taking place tonight. A unique part of the schedule this year, here in week 1, all the Big Rivers Conference teams are at home in week 1.
Yeah, and that's why Eau Claire North played last night, is because then Memorial plays there tonight. I think, if North played Central, I think Memorial will probably play Logan as opposed to like a home-and-home thing with lacrosse. So that's why that happened. And I'm not sure why Menominee did last night. Maybe they have another game scheduled for tonight over at Williams Field. I don't know. But, yeah, it's the official kickoff weekend.
Zuli's kick will be handled from the 1. This is Bishop. Angles out to the left, and he is stood up and then hammered down at the 19-yard line. Finishing a hit that time by Torrin Phillips.
And Cody Sika here, and we saw him last year. So great to have him back, and he's a captain. Only 5'7", but he's 190 pounds and hits hard, and he's aggressive out there. And he was in on that hit also.
5'7", 190, and
stocky.
About 150 of it below the waist, I think.
You bet.
Those are some big legs.
And muscle, of course, and several of these athletes train with Ethos Performance with Dan Teese and Nathan Bryan. Learn more about them at ethosperformance.com. We're going to have them on, hear from them. They're one of our great sponsors that allow us to bring you these broadcasts, among a host of others. But Ethos Performance, check them out. They not only build athletes, they create young men and do a great job of it.
Gain of 3 on the handoff. I believe that was Grant on the carry. It was, as he really kind of took over on that last drive for Indian Trail that led to a touchdown. He did carry 7 times for 23 yards, also caught a pass for 9 in the first half for the Hawks. Gains 3 here to set up 2nd and a 7 for Indian Trail. We did see their starting tailback, Josiah Jackson, go off with an injury early, but did reappear. Here's a straight keep for now for Jarvis, and Jarvis picks his way across the 25 to about the 27. Give him 5 on the carry. It'll be 3rd and 3 for the Hawks.
You want to thank our halftime guest, Dan Stelzner from the Hudson Boosters. He coordinates the youth football program. Check them out on the Hudson Booster website. The youth football, it all starts from there. If you want to, if you have a young son, you want to get involved in a very satisfying activity, check out the Hudson Boosters youth football program. Also want to thank former Hudson Raider Brandon McDonald for coming on. McDonald Insurance Agency. Seeing his boy out there, Cade, and glad to talk to Brandon.
Handoff, Grant, and stepping up and making a big time hit in the backfield. Rocco Huppert. Also from the backside, I believe in there was Quintin Bates.
And Quintin Bates is fired up. Number 22, he's 5'11", 190-pound senior inside linebacker. And that's what you need. You need a few firecrackers, to bang on your helmets and bang on your pads and get in your face and holler and jump up and down. It energizes the defense. You got to have that mix of those guys and more of the quiet guys and the athletic and the guys that maybe they aren't so athletic but work really hard. And I see that nice mix there. Talking to Aaron about the mix of talent and different types of athletes that they have this year, and he thinks it's a good, solid group.
Lasso one on the play, brings up 4th and 4 and brings out the Hawks punting unit. Carls awaits the kick at his 41. He's yet to return one as Lawrence has angled it away from him, and this time pushes it into the Hudson bench. Where will they mark this one?
On the 49 maybe?
At the 45-yard line.
45, okay.
19-yard kick, so Hudson up 28-13 with 8:01 to play in the third quarter. John, great field position.
Yeah, it really is. Coming off that dominating drive in the opening drive of the second half to increase their lead to 28-13. If they have a time-consuming drive here and strike pay dirt, I think this game is pretty well in hand. A lot of football yet to play. It's not over by any stretch of the imagination, but from what I saw in that offense, on that drive there, looking to see if they're going to get Charlie Pierce more involved. He's on the wideout on the far left.
Looking that way.
They're going to him, yep.
Great coverage. It is knocked away. Clayton Bishop there defensively. Great position on Pierce. Incomplete. Brings up 2nd and 10.
I just had the feeling they were going to go to him that time. And Pierce can really motor, and Helterbrand can put it there. But pretty good coverage that time, and the pass was a little bit underthrown.
Helterbrand now 5 for 10 on the afternoon. He keeps it this time, picks his way across the 40, darts out to the left, first down, 30, cuts it back at the 25,
Man,
spins away there.
Look at him
and
go.
is dragging players inside the 10 and finally taken down at the 5. What a run by the senior. 35, 40 yards.
This is going to be a treat to watch this young man lead this Hudson Raider offense. He did that on pure athleticism. They had him bottled up way back 20 yards prior to that.
1st and goal from the 5. 2 carries in this half for 60 yards for Helterbrand.
Those are numbers that dwarf old Jim Brown's numbers.
He'll keep again
There it
right
is
up
again.
the middle.
Yeah.
And he walks into the end zone with his 3rd score of the afternoon, and the Raiders are blowing it open.
They've blown it open is right, with an extra point away going up 35-13. And defensively, we talked about the multiple weapons. You got to guard against so many things. You got to guard against the pitch. You got to guard against the 20-yard down and out. You got to guard against the quarterback option. I mean, it's pick your poison. And right now, the poison is Kaiser Helterbrand being dumped right down the throat of the Indian Trail Hawks.
Zuli on to attempt the extra point, and he is a perfect. 7:33 to play, as you can see there on the board. They tack on the extra point, and it's Hudson leading Indian Trail 35-13.
We want to thank everybody for tuning in to Hudson Raider football tonight. Don Maruska. Don, thank you for emailing in here. We want to hear from more of you. Love to hear from you. Very easy to do. Click on the contact the booth link on the lower half of the screen as the bleacher creatures are getting quite a work. The girls are out. These are all girls for the creatures this time. There they are. If Hudson keeps scoring, it's going to be like a track meet. But
they need some practice.
They need practice, yeah. Why not? With the blue track here, just a great facility. Great, the lights aren't on because we started early, but it's this LED lighting at night. When you compare it to, and nobody loves Newton Field as much as I do, but the advancement in lighting, LED lighting, and specifically focus lighting is so good now. to see this place at night, it's just tremendous. I mean, they've done tests and things, and the clarity is just tremendous. And you can even see it in the video when we do at night here.
Zuli to kick it away for Hudson. Line drive kick. Bishop from the 7. Up the far numbers, a little hesitation at the 30 and taken out at the 32-yard line. Well, John, you mentioned the offensive line for Hudson and going from left to right here in the second half. Dane DeMuth at left tackle.
Yep.
Alex Giebler, I believe, is now the left guard. He's replaced Blake Gilbert, who is now on crutches on the sideline for Hudson.
Tough. I see him there.
Anchoring that line, Ben Gilbert, the older brother, the senior. And then on the right side, you've got Carter Reimer and Quinn Farr, and a couple big boys. Farr at 275, anchoring the right side.
Yeah, they definitely got some size and some weight there, and their technique is just going to get better and better.
Jarvis again trying to make magic, and he's taken down for no gain after avoiding a couple tackles in the backfield.
Holden Lutkins out there. Looks like he's accepting the play calling in from Coach Dan Wyand out there. Sending in the plays from the sidelines. Coach Neil Hatfield, he's up here in the booth over in the coaches section, calls the plays, does a tremendous job. He's been here a long time and had some pretty good defensive units through the years.
2nd and 10, quick hitter over the middle. It's caught, juggled, and then Grant is hammered at the 37. So a quick 5-yard hitter will bring up 3rd and 5 for the Hawks.
And I don't think you're in a position quite yet, down by 22, to go for this deep in your own territory, but maybe you do. We'll have to see here. There's a decision time to make depending on what happens here on 3rd.
Again over the middle, and this time it's caught by Bishop. He avoided the tackle and then squirts out for a first down to the 44-yard line. That's a gain of 7. It'll move the chains, and only the 4th time here this afternoon that Indian Trail's converted on a 3rd down.
I want to say also a thank you to RJ's Meats, and we've had RJ's on for a number of years, and it's one of my favorite places to go, and we're going to have feature a commercial for them about their championships. They've won almost 300 championships for their various sausage making and things. RJ's Meats up on the hill. Check them out. Great customer service and great products. RJ's Meats here in Hudson.
Jarvis dumps one out. This is Ramos, and he rambles into Hudson territory with another Indian Trail first down as they go from 44 to 44 to the Hawks. Gain of 13 on this play.
And that is a Hawks first down.
Well, the Hawks got a little drive going here. You know, they really, it was so key for them to punch in that touchdown late, with 2 seconds to go at the close of the first half. And you wondered if they were going to be able to build on that momentum. But boy, it's been all Hudson here in the second half. But they do have a drive going here into Hudson territory.
Jarvis now 10 for 13, throwing the ball, and at least one of those incompletions was a bobble and drop. He'll keep this time right up the middle. He's got a nice hole, and he is to the 35-yard line, a gain of 8.
Well, they're starting to get some yards on the ground where prior they weren't, and also too because it's week 1, because it is so warm, so humid. There is starting to be a little bit of a fatigue factor here for both of these teams, particularly on the defensive side here. But I see a lot of Gatorade there, and all of these extra things. The Hudson bench warmers really chip in to do all the extra things for this program.
Pass out to the left is tipped and nearly intercepted. Asembo had an opportunity after it squirted through Bishop's hands. It'll be 3rd and 2, and officials timeout on the field as somebody lost a helmet there. That's Scooter Terrian going off to the sideline.
Just in talking to Ron Dalton here, just to kind of give people an idea of just some of the things that the Hudson Benchwarmers do behind the scenes. They provide financial, organizational, educational, and moral support for the Hudson High School football program. Their goal is to make football players' high school experience as memorable and successful as possible. New and updated equipment, spaghetti dinners, post-game meals, game day programs, end-of-the-year banquet, and subsidized fan buses for away games, scholarships to players, homecoming parade. They do it all. Hudson Benchwarmers, hudsonfootball.org.
A keep for Jarvis. He's got a first down as he is banged down at the Hudson 30. That's a gain of 5, and again the chains move.
Lonzo Matson on the tackle for the Raiders.
Yeah, they got a drive going here. Moving the chains, driving into Hudson territory. It isn't over yet. Was that what Yogi Berra said? He was referring to baseball, though, not high school football. But the mentality, the philosophy is the same. If they can punch a score in here, yeah, we'll make for an interesting fourth quarter.
Joe Cotton in the game for the Hawks, all 5'2" of him, but he goes 195 at the fullback position as we get an incomplete pass intended for Ferrati.
5'2", 195, yeah. He's what you call a short yardage back, perhaps.
Yes.
I got a great story about a short yardage back from the Vikings from a few years ago. We'll get to a little bit later. Leroy Horde, remember Leroy Horde?
I do remember Leroy.
Leroy Horde was asked one time. He said, "Well, I'm what you call a short yardage specialist. Is if it's 3rd and 2, you give me the ball, I'll get you 2 yards. If it's 3rd and 5, you give me the ball, I'll get you 2 yards." Perhaps that's the same here. I'm not sure.
2nd and 10. Jarvis throws. Bishop is on the receiving end and quickly taking him down is Easton Belland. Gain of about 3 on the play.
Of course, Easton Belland, another one of these seniors that we remember from last year. I believe it's 21 or 22 seniors on the roster here. Pretty good senior class. I know in past years we had upwards of, I think in 2012 they had 40 seniors, and 13 they had 35. Those were big senior classes. Not quite as big, but definitely some loaded talent out of this senior bunch.
Three receivers right on 3rd and 7. Coming to motion is Grant. They fake to him and the pass to the outside, but behind Bishop, who was not expecting it, and it'll be 4th and 7. And from the 27, kind of a no-doubter that you go for it here.
Absolutely. I mean, a field goal, you're almost out of range anyway, and that does you no good when you're down by 22 with 3:33 to go in the third. You don't punt it. Yeah, it's absolutely no-brainer. Hudson shuts them down here. They're going to be good. Then if you can get the ball back and just start running clock,
Well, after I talked to Jarvis up, said he was 10 for 13. He's misfired on 3 of his last 4. 3 receivers left, 1 right. Straight drop, looking left. Jarvis running out of time and running out of patience is the Hudson defense. He is sacked. Cody Sika back at the 32-yard line, and Hudson takes over on downs.
Yeah, Sika was solid there, and also credit the defensive backs for coverage. They had Jarvis had several options there, but they were all covered, and a good blitz closed around him, and that went nowhere. And Hudson Raiders got the ball back. I think you're maybe going to start seeing some second teamers filter in here and get some game time. But the key now is just to keep possession of it, convert first downs, and run that clock.
Hilterbrand, look out from behind, gets the chip block. Running out of time, and down he goes back at the 27-yard line.
Good, solid play by Connor Fonrich, linebacker. He just came all the way from his linebacker position, about center of the field, and just came in there and took him down.
He's one of the Hawks captains. He is only a junior, and again led the team in tackles last year as a sophomore. He is a good one for the Hawks.
Good as advertised.
2nd and 14. The pitch comes to Danielson. Squirts down the sideline. He's got a first down and more. Danielson
He's
outruns
gone.
a defender, and they won't catch him. 20, 10, touchdown Raiders on a 72-yard run. He's got 122 yards rushing in this half
Oh, my goodness.
on just 2 carries.
Welcome back, Cole Danielson.
That was about a 75-yard scamper for Danielson.
The blocking was there. You could see the play develop. The seal was there. The Indian Trail Hawks were a little bit slow to shift to the right, and once he got in the open, he just turned on the jets, and it was just a matter of time.
Dan Zulli to attempt the extra point.
Zulli on to attempt the point after here for Hudson. And he bangs it through. He's 3 for 3, as was Ben Carls before him. 6 touchdowns, 6 point afters. My Minnesota math tells me that's 42 points for Hudson.
42 it is on that scoreboard, the Hudson Raider video scoreboard here. One of the many amenities in this nice new facility, as you saw the bleacher creatures yet again. 6 touchdowns, 6 times they've gone back and forth with the flags. I think they have a boy team and a girl team, because there was a girl team that was there the last time. I'm not sure, but get everybody involved. And looks like everybody's having a good time out there. And yet, you know what? The games in mid-October, late October, we're going to reflect back on the days of T-shirts and shorts and whatnot, and maybe fondly remember them. I'm not much of a warm weather person. I like cold weather myself better, but this is pretty cool too. John Reed does not. He likes the hot weather.
Oh, bring on the cold.
Bring on the cold. I agree. Yeah.
Well, as the senior person in this booth,
Yeah. Not by much.
I don't like either extreme necessarily,
I
but
don't either. Yeah, you're right.
the cold kind of bothers me now. I'm wimping out.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Boy, what a performance here in this second half by the Raiders. You know, when I mentioned this before, when Kenosha got that late touchdown, you wonder if they were going to leverage that and carry that into the second half. And boy, Hudson answered many times over in this second half and are pulling away with this thing.
High end over end kick. It'll be Bishop from the 10. 15 cuts to the outside of the 20, up the sideline 25-30 to the 40. And actually, it's not Bishop, it's Jeremiah Suber on the return, and he is into Hudson territory before he's forced out.
Boy, seek on the tackle.
They'll mark it right at the 50-yard line.
Looks like it's actually right.
Yeah, good starting field position. Time is of the essence now as the Hawks have fallen down by 29 points. They got to strike and strike quickly. Again, I want to give a thank you out to our sponsors: Big Guys Barbecue, the Village Inn, Seasons Tavern, the Willow River Inn, Hudson Ford, Ethos Performance, Wisconsin Credit Union, Hudson Ford. Oh, we're going back. Oh boy, that negated one heck of a good run.
So that brings the Hawks way back to the
A hold.
16-yard line. Where they'll have
And the penalty wipes out a nice 40-yard return for Suber, and instead it'll be 1st and 10 from the 16.
Also thank RJ's Meats, Mattress Galaxy, the Hudson Boosters, the Bench Warmers. All these great organizations and businesses, all local Hudson. This is a Hudson broadcast sponsored by Hudson Businesses. Thank you very much. Please support our sponsors, and thank you to the sponsors for coming on board and allowing us to do this. Bring these games to you wherever you tuned in tonight.
Grant comes in motion, takes the handoff, cuts it upside, and is taken down
Jalen Grant on the carry.
for no gain on the play, perhaps a yard loss on it. John, we're 2:20 left to play in the third quarter. That holding call was the first penalty on Indian Trail. We've only had 3 penalties assessed in this game. I'm impressed for week 1 with these 2 squads.
I'm as surprised as I am impressed. I agree, because traditionally week 1, you know, it's just a nature of, you know, only 2.5 weeks of practice and whatever, you know. That's your offsides and 12 men on the field and false start and holding, but very little of that. It's been a pretty clean game for week 1. I'll give you that. Absolutely.
2nd and 11 now from the 15. Again, Grant in motion. Again, he'll take the handoff and gets out to about the 19-yard line.
Gain of about 4 on that.
Looking out on this crowd here tonight, and as I mentioned, considering it's an unusual start for such an early game, a pretty good crowd, and a lot of Raider hats and shirts and whatnot. Of course, the place to go, on-site apparel off of Locust Street, an extensive collection of Hudson Raider fan gear with the Hudson Raider Clothing Company. They also do all embroidery in-house in there. Lori just does a tremendous job. It's a fairly new location, but check them out down there off of Locust Street. They got all sorts of Hudson wear, and get yourself in Hudson Raider gear for this 2018 season, on-site apparel.
3rd and 6 for the Hawks, ball at their 20. Scooter Terrian moves from right to left. Little dump pass, and Ramos is taken down. A nice tackle by Belland at the 23. It'll be 4th and 3.
Well, and I think you have to go for it here. I mean, what's your?
Yeah, you got nothing to lose at this point. It's under a minute to play. And it looks as though perhaps Indian Trail will let the time drain off the clock here and end the 3rd quarter. That's exactly what they're going to do as we dip under 10 seconds. They're heading to the other end of the field, and when we come back with the beginning of the 4th quarter, it would appear to me, John, it's the punt unit that'll be coming onto the field.
Well, and it's a decision, which path you want to go. You're down by a significant margin. You're down by 29 points. As the "Here Come the Dogs" song comes out here, and look, we got a picture on the scoreboard of a dog licking the glass. Apparently, I'm not sure, but I didn't see that from last year. But part of the big video scoreboard, and
given a little bit of time to get some videos put together. I saw Stephanie DeVos on there with instructions to those in attendance. I'm sure we'll see that one at every game, and graphics for upcoming home games. I'm sure we'll have graphics for other sports that are here in Hudson, and it's a great improvement to be able to get those graphics working this year.
Well, absolutely, and it's as we said, this is week 1, and there is some challenges here in terms of the ongoing construction project, which hopefully will be done here in a matter of just a few weeks. The internet for the broadcast that we use was rendered not operational here recently, so we are only able to do the webcast for this and not the usual type of broadcast that we originally had planned for this. But moving forward, I fully anticipate even starting next week, we'll have the more advanced multi-platform TV and web broadcast going into Stevens Point next week, and then we come back home here in 2 weeks. Hopefully everything will be set and we can even expand what we're doing here. So just a lot to look forward to moving ahead.
Lawrence punt end over end is handled by Carls. He quickly is into Indian Trail territory before he spun out of bounds at about the 48, maybe the 47-yard line.
So Superintendent Nick Ouellette peeking his head in here a little bit ago. And checking in here and seeing several other teachers. Of course, Athletic Director Stephanie DeVos has been in and out of here. Always enjoy working with her. Worked with her in all the 8 years that we've done this, and a lot of people behind the scenes helping us out, being able to give us an opportunity to do this.
Quick pass. Danielson reaches out, makes the catch, and he is quickly converged upon. The ball came out loose. Tackled by James Van Dunn.
And I think the key for Hudson here is, as I mentioned earlier, big lead. Get the second team guys in, burn the clock. Don't go overboard with margin of victory, which Coach Adam Cowles never has. And he's had teams in past years, and this is maybe one of them that could really, they could just roll people week after week, and he takes the foot off the gas. And not every coach does that. It's all about sportsmanship, which is really stressed here for this Hudson program, and you got to factor that in as well.
Mateo Renta with his first carry for Hudson picks up 4. It's 3rd and 2 for the Raiders as Danielson went in motion, and now we'll reset.
I don't know if they changed the play or maybe there was miscommunication. Coach Adam Cowles on the sideline, always very active.
Counter play, Miller darts out to the left. He's got the first down, and that is thrown out of bounds. He gets to the 30. That is a gain of 9 and a Hudson first down.
And I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure David Miller is the younger brother of Luke Miller, who was the quarterback on the 2011 team. Had a real nice career here at Hudson. Saw some action last year, and definitely one of the weapons on this offense this year.
They fake to Miller.
What?
Renta on the option. Renta down the sideline. And he is going to be dragged down at the 5-yard line by Clayton Bishop. 25-yard run for Renta sets up 1st and goal for the Raiders.
This offensive line and the play calling is just clicking on all cylinders. I mean, it really is. I mean, that play was a perfect example of that. It was wide open on the left there. And, you know, the motion plays, the counters, and the option plays, this offense is just looking phenomenal.
Renta in motion, takes the handoff, tries to go wide, and he's going to be taken down again by Vanden. Gain of 2 on the play. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 3.
Yeah, James Vanden come up from his defensive back spot, 5'11", 150-pound defensive back for the Hawks.
2nd and goal, ball at the 3.
Yeah, letting the Raiders, rightfully so, really in no rush, nor should they be.
Spreading it out are the Raiders here on 2nd and goal, and still some confusion about what play is coming in from the sideline. Handoff, Miller. No, it's Helterbrand on the keep, and Helterbrand has his 4th score of the afternoon. This one from 3 yards out.
You know, every now and then, and I understand it's only week 1. You and I have been doing this a long time, not just with Hudson, but even before, is you see certain athletes you know are special. And you just know that they can take over a game. Kaiser Helterbrand is one of those athletes. He really is.
Zuli line drive kick, and it is wide left, no good. So with 10:01 left to play in this ball game, it is Hudson 48 and Indian Trail 13, and made even more impressive given the fact that just 3 plays into this game, Indian Trail had a 6-0 lead.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's 3rd and 5, and we're talking about, well, can they convert this 3rd down? Next thing you know, Jarvis gets open on kind of a broken play, and Hudson had a good rush, gets out to the left, turns on the jets, and the scamper down the sideline, and before everybody's even settled in for the game, it's 6-0.
One of the things screaming out at me, John, and I, don't keep great stats, and I'm likely off with these numbers. Hudson has only had to run 5 plays on 3rd down in this game.
Yeah, that says a lot, really, when you analyze that.
Indian Trail, on the other hand, 14 times they've had a 3rd down play call. Converting only 5 of them.
Yeah. Hudson has just taken over here in the second half. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is part of the broadcast where we, among other things, interject scores in, from other Big Rivers Conference games. But I'm lost because we're the only game playing. And in a matter of about another little less than an hour, the ball will be kicking off at the traditional 7 o'clock time. And from here on out, we will be 7 o'clock starts.
The game's kicking off at 11, as I mentioned. Everybody in the Big Rivers Conference at home this week. Superior hosting Oshkosh North, another kind of new opponent into the conference.
And a long drive from Oshkosh up to Superior.
No doubt.
About comparable to what this is.
Medford travels to Rice Lake. New Richmond travels to River Falls. That should be an interesting one just down the road. And Holman goes out to take on Chip.
Mm-hmm. I believe Holman and Chippewa Falls have had a non-conference thing for quite a number of years. And those of you who keep up on WIA football news, you're probably aware, and we're going to talk more about this as the season goes on, and it's still some question marks to it, but a fairly significant conference realignment program is being pushed right now by the WIA and the Coaches Association, and that actually has River Falls moving out of the Big Rivers Conference and New Richmond moving in. You're talking about New Richmond, River Falls. Whether that comes to pass, we don't know, but that's in the works. So we'll have to kind of continue to have a conversation about that.
Handoff for Grant, and Grant swallowed up behind the line of scrimmage.
Tackled by Bates. Quintin Bates on the tackle for the Raiders. No gain. Maybe a loss of a half.
The other thing we're going to try to do, and I talked to Ken Stelzner with the Hudson Boosters, is championship for the Hudson Booster football is, I believe, Saturday, October 18th or 19th. I'd have to check, but what we're going to try to do is broadcast the Booster Championships. October 20th, Saturday, October 20th. Now, how cool would that be to be able to do that? That's 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, and that would be something very new, and should be a lot of fun if we can pull it off, and I think we can. That's a ways off, but that's kind of fun.
Oh, those youth games are great. You mentioned earlier, I believe it was Quintin Bates getting all excited. Nice pass down the middle, and behind everybody is Suber, and he is caught at the 30. Beautiful ball and a nice reception for Suber.
Oh, Jarvis has got a good arm, too. And good catching under pretty tight coverage.
45-yard connection moves the chains for the Hawks.
Beautiful pass. Right on the money.
But, boy, you want to see kids get excited when they do something well. Those
bet.
Youth guys, they're a treat.
Oh, yeah. Youth football. If you're not involved in it, get involved. It's great. Hudson Boosters is the place to do it.
Grant in motion, takes the handoff, cuts up the middle, and he's got a late, and he will find the end zone.
Grant into the end zone. Touchdown.
A 30-yard run for Jalen Grant. Makes it 48-19.
Well, nice drive that time by Kenosha Indian Trail. They're, for all intents and purposes, really out of it, but they're not content to fold up and go silently into the night. They put a very nice drive together, highlighted by that pass play, and then followed it up with that run that put 6 more points on the board. And I think, no, they're not going to go for 2. Go for the extra point.
Jalen Grant last year, just 1 reception, 14 yards in the matchup between these two teams. He ran for 120 yards total on the season, and obviously, as this game has started, was behind Josiah Jackson on the depth chart, but he suddenly has 13 carries in this ball game.
Yeah.
Now a 30-yard touchdown run, and I think the Hawks are finding a weapon in number 14.
Absolutely, and they're clearly going to go down to defeat in this one, barring some miraculous comeback here. But this team's got some talent, and they play some pretty tough competition down there in the southeastern part of the state. But I think, they'll be able to hold their own. There's definitely some talent. This is a good Hudson Raider football team playing well at home, and but Kenosha, you'll see them. I wouldn't be surprised if they get into the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Of course, looking over in the coach's booth there, and defensive coordinator Hatfield, even though his defense has played a tremendous game, I saw him just kind of bowing his head and shaking his head. He did not want to give up that touchdown there because they had shut him down here in the second half. But yeah, credit Indian Trail. That was a nice drive.
Second string kickoff guys are out there. Andrew Ross back deep. He's got Bennett Puckett to the near side. Onside kick, does it go 10 yards? Not quite, but Hudson falls on it anyway, so it'll be Raider ball from the Hawk 49-yard line.
Yeah, we
good idea.
We hadn't even thought about it, but really, realistically, you got to make up 4 touchdowns, a four touchdown deficit in 7-13. If you have any chance of doing that, I mean, that's clearly the call you got to do. And I'll be honest, it didn't dawn on me. And it didn't work, but, E for effort, right?
And it appeared to take the Raiders a little off,
It did.
off guard, too. So fortunate for them, it didn't travel that final foot and a half.
For those of you not familiar with the rules of football, it only becomes live after 10 yards.
Andrew Ross in at quarterback now for the Raiders. Hands it off, and coming through the new tailback is Hunter Danielson, the sophomore. Picks up 3 on his initial carry of the season.
And Hunter Danielson, I thought going back to the hockey games we did last year, that Hunter and Cole Danielson are related. In fact, they're not. Hunter is a sophomore and Cole's a junior, but they are not related.
This time Ross pitches it, and Renta spun out of bounds, very close to a Hudson first down inside the 40.
Got some new graphics on the scoreboard that I don't recall from last year. Looks nice. You know, who would have thunk it? You know, years ago.
Formation, 6 men on the line of scrimmage on the offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Okay, there's your call. Hudson is going to back up. They are, as we anticipated they would, they are rotating in the second teamers, which is great to see.
Still second down then. Second and
So the 5-yard penalty makes it 2nd and 12 as the ball finds its way back to the Hudson 49-yard line.
And, you know, you think back, Joe, you and I in high school back in the 80s, the idea of a digital scoreboard, a video scoreboard for high school football was just not something that anybody even thought of.
Here's Danielson, both arms wrapped around that ball as he bangs ahead to the 43, a gain of 8.
Ross hands the ball off to Danielson.
But Hudson has one, and several schools over in the cities have them. You know, they are not cheap, but they do add a lot to a game, and it's a really pretty cool feature.
Third and 3 for Hudson. And Ross is stood up and hammered. Alex Miller went in motion. I believe they were supposed to run the option with him, but
Injury timeout on the field.
But you know, these second teamers, even though that play clearly didn't go as planned, but nothing beats game experience. You know,
right.
Injuries happen, weird things happen. Sometimes players that aren't penciled in to start find themselves starting or find themselves getting significant playing time. And all what you can do beforehand to prepare yourself, if and when that happens, is only benefits the team.
Nick Jancy into punt, short punt, and then it takes an Indian Trail bounce and will be covered at the 39-yard line for the Hawks. They'll take over with 5:03 left to play in the game, trailing 48-20.
Next week are over at Stevens Point, like we talked about, the rematch of the playoff game from last year over at Stevens Point, Gorky Field, and the campus of University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point. Joe, we still got to see if we can get you to go over there. We'll have to see, and we'll have to leave early and get over there. We've had quite a history over that stadium through the years, dating back quite a few. John, you have too.
Some fun playoff games over there.
Yeah, Harlan Arrowhead in 2013. We played Green Bay Preble over there. Played Appleton North, Stevens Point, of course. Yeah, nice place to play.
Look out, new quarterback in, and he is treated rudely. Argent is Molly, sacked for a loss of 8.
Dylan Hubbard, among others, he's a 6'2", 190-pound junior. Well, they had good fast penetration from multiple angles that time. That play was over before it started.
Second and 18 for the Hawks. Under 4.5 to play. Cotton, the running back, offset to the left. And they hand it off to the motion man, Matt Wendling. And Wendling is going to lose a couple more yards. So Hawks are in reverse here, 3rd and 19.
Yeah, they just. I think it's gotten to the point right now. You know, we're in 4 minutes. Clearly, Hudson took control of this game in the second half. Although the Hawks did have a nice drive, they want to get this game over with. They got a long trip home, and work on some things in practice and hope for better things next week. I think they're at home next week, and but that's a long trip. I remember we did it last year.
I got to think that's all of 5.5 hours?
Yeah.
6?
5.5 to 6.
Probably on a bus, maybe a little longer yet.
And they got a shower, and, it's not just like the game ends and they hop on the bus and go. I mean, they're going to be here for 45 minutes at least before they get out of here.
In trouble again. Ismail looked like he got pulled down by the face mask, but no flag comes flying. And
I thought so, too, but I don't know if he grabbed the helmet or...
Another sack, another loss of 4, and 4th and 24 is where the Hawks are at with under 3 minutes to play.
And the referee on the side had a perfect view of it, so maybe he just got the side of the helmet. I thought the same thing, maybe face mask, but it wasn't. I also wanted to say a thank you and an acknowledgement to these referees out there. And you cannot have these games, I don't care what level, without referees that are, and that's a thank. You want to talk about a thankless job? That's a thankless job. But you have to have referees, and there's some good ones. And I just want to say acknowledgement and a thank you for all the guys out there that are willing to go out there and do the refereeing.
High snap, Lauren gets it down, nice spiraling kick. Fielded, dropped, and now picked up. Mateo Renta will bring it back up to about the 46-yard line, a return of 7 yards. After a nice 36-yard punt. So 2:06 left to play in this one, and as John mentioned, next week, the trip to Stevens Point.
Absolutely.
And, you mentioned it's been 3 meetings the last 2 years. This will be the 4th, and, I would say the odds maybe would point to possibly a 5th meeting with the Panthers in a 3-year span. That would be amazing.
I wouldn't rule it out at all. I mean, a lot of things got to happen for that to happen, but yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
This is Alex Miller on the carry. Another new quarterback for Hudson taking the snap was Jake Miller.
And I'm wondering, well, you got Alex Miller and David Miller, and one of the two is related to Luke Miller, and maybe I had wrong. We'll have to clarify who's who here, but it's Jake? Yep. Okay, Jake Miller is the brother of Luke Miller then. Always a getting to know kind of a process here early in the season.
Yes, it is. Renta in motion a couple of times. Tailback is Hunter Danielson. He takes the ball. Tries to bounce out to the right, cuts it back up the middle. And Danielson to the 20 and dragged down inside the 15-yard line.
Well, not to be outdone by Cole Danielson. I mentioned before they are not related, but sophomore Hunter Danielson seeing some time and very nice run inside the red zone. Is Hudson just going to lay on it or try to break the half-century mark? Knowing what I know about Adam Cowles, I think he's probably just going to sit on it.
Under a minute left in this one. Coming
maybe not.
Onto the field is Owen Anderson. Anderson will take a snap, the 4th different quarterback to take a snap this afternoon for Hudson.
Yeah,
and he'll kneel it down.
That's sportsmanship and that's class, and I would expect nothing other than that from this Hudson Raider coaching staff. I've seen it time and time again.
And I don't think Hudson's going to have to snap it again. They will let the remainder of this one drain off the clock, and the Hudson Raiders open the 2018 season in impressive fashion as they defeat Kenosha Indian Trail by a final score of 48-20.
A dominating performance, an impressive performance. We've seen what they can do offensively. Multiple weapons. Kaiser Helterbrand was tremendous. Cole Danielson had an outstanding game. A host of others contributed. The defense was solid, particularly in the in the second half, with the exception of that late drive. But Joe, I think we don't want to put too much pressure on these kids, and we know it's early. But we've seen some great Hudson Raider teams in the years we've done this, and I think this might be one of them. I really do.
This was an awfully good start, and, despite the broken play that dropped them into a 6-0 hole 3 plays into the season, there was no panic.
Nope.
It seemed to me, John, it was that first quarter, it was like, oh, hey, there's an actual competitor across from me. We're not just in practice anymore. And, boy, once things started to click, it was an impressive thing to watch here for Hudson this afternoon.
It really was. I don't think they sustained any injuries, with the possible exception of, it would be Vax Giebler, the offensive lineman. He got injured, came back in, and then he was injured again. We'll have to see if we can get a follow-up going into next week. And he's key. He's a big boy, 6'2", 215. He's a senior and one of the anchors on that offensive line, so we'll have to check that out. But beyond that, that's always, first game, humidity, cramping, and exhaustion and whatnot. I think we got a clean game, pretty decent played game in terms of limited amount of mistakes and penalties and whatnot. And I've seen some week 1 games that are just brutal. I'll be honest with you. It's just, oh my goodness, we're talking 15 penalties and a wide variety of mistakes on both sides, and we did not have that. So hats off to really both of these coaching staffs for these teams, and they've obviously been doing something right here in the 2.5 weeks they've had to practice.
Yep, just 4 penalties assessed in this game, only 1 turnover into this game. It was a fumble, and it really kind of turned the tide of this game. It occurred early in the second quarter on the first play after Hudson had scored to take a 7-6 lead. Hudson pounded it in just 3 plays later. It was 14-6, and the Raiders were off to the races from there. 21-13 halftime lead. They came out, got the ball to start the second half, John. 4 plays, 80 yards, a minute and 20 seconds, and they just did not look back from there.
Did not look back is exactly how I'd put it. They just kept the pedal down. They took it off there towards the end. They probably could have punched it in, but went across the half-century mark, but that's not how they do things here. And very impressive, really. I mean, if this team can stay healthy, continue to work and get better, the talent is there, and it's all going to be about, how they gel as a team and what the level of the competition is moving forward. We got the non-conference at Stevens Point. I'm really looking forward to that. I've been looking forward to that game since October 19th of 2017. We lost that heartbreaking fashion, knowing we were going to play them over their non-conference to open this season. I've just been waiting, and now that time has come. And again, we'll have the full broadcast on 7 o'clock, the standard time next week, and looking forward to that.
Certainly are looking forward to that one. They ended our season 2 years ago. They wrecked the inaugural game here at Raiders Stadium, and they ended our season last year as well. So strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, and we've been out. And so, hey, it's a different group of guys. Obviously, there are some carryovers from year to year, but new year, new team, and we'll see how they stack up against the Panthers next Friday night right back here. Raiders broadcast.
Yeah, RaidersBroadcast.com, also live on Channel 15, the River Channel. Unfortunately, because of internet restrictions or lack thereof, we were not able to put the TV on, live TV this week. We will be on next week, and looking forward to that. I want to thank our sponsors again, and we'll have a listing of them on HudsonBroadcast.com. We could not do this without the support of our sponsors: Big Guys Barbecue, the Village Inn, Seasons Tavern, the Willow River Inn, Hudson Ford, Wisconsin Credit Union, Ethos Performance, RJ's Meats, McDonald Insurance. I'm probably missing a couple here. I got things scribbled on. Onsite Apparel, your home of Raider Clothing. The Raider Clothing Company. Stop down there off Locust Street. Onsite Apparel. We're going to be adding a couple more. Mattress Galaxy. And we still got to nail a couple things down. But we've had great support from the business community. Check out these sponsors. We'll have more information on the sponsors on the website as we move forward. And, hey, one down, 8 more to go.
That's
Absolutely.
right. Well, 8 and plus a few more
Plus
after
a few
that.
more. We'll see.
We will bid you adieu from Raider Stadium as you can see a victorious Hudson team post-game into the end zone to our left. Once again, your final score, Hudson 48, Kenosha Indian Trail 20. Now for cameraman John Reed and the owner of MSBN, John Wecken, my name is Joe Moore. Good night, everybody.